Hello, hello, Daisha How. Oh, just as I move over, of course. It always does this. Hakuoki just likes to do that to me. So, hello, hello. We are going to be continuing our Hakuoki adventures into Edo Blossoms. So, the game was originally just one, I believe. I don't remember what the title was officially called. I think it was just Hakuoki, but for the stream version, they put it into two, Kyoto Winds and Edo Blossoms. So we are moving on, after finishing Kyoto Winds, we are moving on to Edo Blossoms. So our man is still freaking Saito. So nothing's going to change about that. So looks like we can't continue. Looks like it has to be a new game. So it looks like we're going to have to romance him again. So last time we finished off with Hakuoki Kyoto Winds. All the boys were going onto a, not a boat, but, or were they going on? I don't remember, but we're going back to Edo. So, let's see where those adventures take us. Woo! How do I? How do I? Oh. Need to put in a new one. That one, please, and thank you. Confirm. Oh, look at the main character in that outfit. So cute. Absolutely adorable. I can't wait to see the rest of the boys. Ah, yes. Select. I did not know it did this. Hi, hi. Hi, he sits. I did not know that Edo Blossoms went into specific storylines, but heck yeah, we're going for Saito. All the way. Look at him. Oh, sweet baby boy in that new outfit. Oh, he's so cute. I love him. Prologue. Oh, I think that was like the last shot that we had in Kyoto Winds was when he was giving us back our sword. He's like, prove to us that you can follow us and join us into Edo. And the main character takes the sword. Ah, so excited, so excited. Winter, 1864. In order to find my father with whom I'd lost contact, I, Lee Yukimura, visited Kyoto. In that city, I bore witness to a horrifying secret hidden within a group called the Shinsengumi, the Fury, a creature with white hair and crimson eyes. Luckily, I was saved from the vicious clutches of the Furies by Saito at the Shinsengumi. Which is true. He did save us with Okita. Because I had discovered the Shinsengumi secret, it was proposed that I live with the Shinsengumi men since they were also searching for my father. As such, I was to serve under Toshi as the commander's page, a role I performed proudly. So thus began my life with the Shinsengumi. So for people who don't know, we got saved by those Furies, and basically they were like, yo, so you know about these Furies, so you're either gonna die here or you're gonna follow us. So we chose, obviously, to follow them. I'd heard rumors, well, whispers really, that the Shinsengumi were little more than a bunch of crooked ronin, but my life with them proved otherwise. Their commitment to protect the safety of Kyoto made them the last of a dying breed, true samurai. It set them apart from those who only craved power. Look at him. Look at little Saito. Ah! Among the men was Saito. He was the left-handed master of Iai who led the 3rd Division of the Shinsengumi as its captain. My fate besides Saito became entwined through the events of the Ikaida-in incident, the Hamaguri Rebellion, and the Aburano Kyoji incident. Also, I apologize for any impronunciations for the Japanese words. I remember one such time where 3 men claiming to be demons, Shikage Kazuma, Kyoju Amaguri, and Kyo Shiranui, confronted the Shinsengumi. They did, and they told us that we are also a demon, a female demon. Huh. However, time has been unkind to us since then. At the time, The fate of the shogunate was threatened by the Satsuma Choshu, which later culminated into an inevitable battle for control of the nation. A lot of fighting happened. Yeah. In an effort to defend my life, Saito confronted a demon one-on-one in a battle, and he drank the water of life, which transformed him into a fury. Yep, he fought off one of them. He kept saying about like a whole bunch of pride and honor stuff, but I knew deep down he meant that he wanted to, you know, fight for me because he loved me. But yes, now he is a fury. Unfortunately, the battle ended in favor of the Satsuma Choshu, and the Shinsengumi were driven from Kyoto. They set sail for Edo in hopes of a new start. Okay, so they did hop onto a boat. I couldn't remember if they did or not. Oh, heck yeah, we're getting into it. Hakuoki, Edo Blossoms. So excited. I can't wait to continue on with this story and to know that it specifically goes into the specific character. Oh, so happy. January 1868, Chapter 1. Let's go. Let's go. I'm so excited. Also, let me know if any of the sounds or anything is too loud. We sailed from Osaka, clinging onto our desperate hopes, and with good fortune, reached Edo safely. Osaka, the biggest city in western Japan. The Shogun's military base is in Osaka Castle. And we can't check out that other one, sadly, because nothing much else we can do. We used the humble home of one of our Hatamoto as our headquarters for the time being. Hatamoto, high-ranking vessels of the Tokugawa clan who served the shogun directly. I think that is Iba, which is one of the other people that we can romance. I think he's one of those. I don't remember. One thing that came privy to our attention is how talk of the Satsuma Choshu troops flooded to the city. Although I had tried my best to forget them, the events of the Battle of Toba Fushimi still left a bitter taste in my mouth. That one, a battle that had erupted in early 1868 within Kyoto's Toba and Fushimi districts waged between imperial and shogunate troops. The shogunate forces were swiftly overpowered and defeated. Yep, that is, I think what just happened. To strengthen the Fury Corps, whose numbers were threatened, Sanan and Todo had been running tirelessly around the city in search of candidates. Furies, a creature with heightened speed and strength and the ability to heal from almost any wound. Basically think of them as vampires. But they don't need blood, they just go crazy with blood. Drinking the water of life will transform a human into a fury. One must stab a fury through the heart to remove its head or remove its head in order to truly kill it. And then Sanan and Todo, or Heseku, or Hoseki. That's why I call him Todo. But those two are also romance options. Their method of recruitment, however, was a question I decided was best left unanswered. Beyond all of this chaos, I felt extremely frustrated by how little I could do to help the warriors. Yep, and the main character is like, oh my god, I can't believe I can't do anything. February 1868. Ooh, I like the darker background. That's pretty cool looking. Ah, the gorgeous, gorgeous music. It was a wintry day, edging on the cusp of spring. Ooh, that's loud. That is very loud. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. You're too loud. There we go. Okay. That was extremely loud in my ears, so I imagine it was probably loud for you guys as well. Among the brisk winds blowing through my window, I heard the townspeople shouting, "Isn't it great? Isn't it great?" repeatedly. Isn't it great? Colloquial phrase used in a spate of festivals that spread across Japan near the end of the Tokugawa era. Over a month had passed since our first arrival in Edo. Also, my apologies, I ate before this, so... My apologies if I, like, go a lot or something to that matter. I ate before this stream. Oh, it's nothing. Oh, I love these two. These two are like actual pages. And I think the one on the left is voiced by the voice actor that does Eren Yeager, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like, yes.
そのために今、土方副長が幕府のお偉いさんに掛け合って再選の許しをもらおうとしてるんだろう。
Commander, the third highest ranking member of the Shinsengumi beneath the chief and the colonel. Okay, it wasn't as loud for us. Okay, whew, whew, thank you, thank you. I'm glad I didn't bust out your ears because my ears were busted. As the two of them exchanged points, an outside voice interrupted their conversation. Oh, I wonder who it is.
Yeah,
well, am I not surprised it's those two? Says the himbo. He's not wrong. Harada's not wrong. These two are also romance options in the original. What? So here's Harada, captain of the Shinsengumi's 10th Division and a native of Edo. He is very skilled with the spear, which is his weapon of choice. There's a scar on his stomach from an attempt at honorable suicide. Also, there is cussing in this. I try to be as say-so as possible, but there is cussing in this.
Nani tenda yo sano. Jodan ni kimatten janega. Ore wa edokko dakara kokoro ni mo ne kotoba ga tsui kuchi o tsuite dechimaun datte.
He's so silly. Senpachi Nagakura, or Shin, captain of the Shinsengumi's 2nd Division and a native of Edo. He prides himself on his swordsmanship, his cheery disposition, and his ability to raise the morale of his men. He is the definition of himbo. Oh, were the two of you planning on going somewhere? Bummer. Why am I not surprised? Kazue Soma, which is also a romance option. The other one is not, though. But I'm fine with that, because this one, ooh, he cute. A page, the chief of the Shinsengumi, after a bout of soul-searching, he chose to depart the Shogunai army to join the Shinsengumi. He is known for his curt, respectful demeanor. He is very, very curt and very cute. I have no idea how old they are. They're probably like 17 or something. No, thank you. I believe I'm going to refrain. There are other things to which I must attend. Nagakura, come on! A funeral... Of course Toshi's gonna know that he's out drinking. What kind of excuse is a funeral? Bye. Nagakura and Harada were practically dragging Soma and Nomura out the door with them. It became a somewhat common occurrence for both Nagakura and Harada to go out for drinks lately. Sure, they were cheery on the outside, but I was afraid to think that their apathy was the result of the defeat in Toba Fushimi. Although it was a huge relief to hear that Kondo's shoulder was recovering well and that he was due to return back to active duty soon. Kondo, he is the chief, one of the founders of the Shinsengumi, an organization created to help keep the peace in Kyoto. He is originally from a province in Edo. He's not a romance option. both Kondo and Toshi's top priority was negotiating with the chief vessels of the shogunate. As a result, the person tasked with ensuring that all duties were seen to completion at headquarters was...
すずりと墨が見当たらんが、どこにあるか知らんか。
Saito. Oh, sorry. I think it might be in Toshi's office, but I imagine it'd anger him quite a bit to hear that we had used it without his permission. Give me a moment, please. If I recall, there's another set as well. Let me find it.
あ、なるべく早く頼む。
Saito, I love him. Inkstone and ink. Will these do?
感謝する。
He. Saito extended his hands to grab the inkstone, and he began to glide it across the short table to make ink. And there's his white-haired version, his fury version. Hajime Saito. After drinking the water of life, his humanity had become forfeit. Typo became forfeit, and he lived his life as a fury. He also was a spy at one point during all of this, and broke our heart. Beside him sat a thick pile of documents, which I had assumed were what Saito had in store for himself. Saito? Is there anything that I might do to help you?
特にない。
It's so cold-hearted, Saito, come on. But are you supposed to do all of this work by yourself? That'd be impossible.
無理ではない。あんたは自分の仕事をしろ。
Saito. Well, I finished most of what I needed to do today, so please, anything? Saito was silent, turning to stare at me with a blank expression. After what looked like a moment of deep consideration,
では、この紙束を閉じるのを手伝ってくれ。
yes, I would. Yes, I would very much. God, look at that smile. Look at his little cute little smile. So
閉じる
cute.
ための小よりと千枚同士はそこにある。
No. We're making books. All, a tool where you pierce a small hole through stacked paper. Making books is kind of fun, actually. I've made a couple, and they're pretty nice, though poking out the holes is very annoying. Okay. I began to enclose the parchment as he instructed. Quiet sounds of ink pressed to parchment, and the falling ruffle of said parchment filled the room. Oh my goodness. Parchment and pressed in the same sentence is very difficult. Come to think of it, it had been nearly a month since Saito had drunk the water of life. Normally, it would have been excruciatingly painful for him to be awake, let alone accomplish tasks, while there was still sunlight. But looking at Saito operate with such swift efficiency, I would have never guessed otherwise. Without being too invasive, I stared at him deeply. Oh, ho, ho. It was at the point where I had begun to question whether or not his fury transformation was all a part of some elaborate dream I had. However, I knew this to be untrue, because I saw it with my own eyes. Ouch!
どうした？
I actually was I was about to react myself with a little flinch. I was gonna go, what? Oh, I cut my finger with the awl. Don't worry, it'll heal quickly.
指を見せてみろ。
As long as you don't go crazy. Oh my god, look at that art. It's so much more crisper than Kyoto Winds. Oh my goodness. It's so pretty. Oh, the details, I love it. Saito grabbed my hand eagerly. Then, it was as if he were caught in a daze, and he stared intently at my fingers as blood began to trickle. His face was pale as snow, but his eyes had a particular sparkle within them, as if he were hungry. I couldn't help but find this odd. Watching his eyes gleam with such forced constraint worried me, and I called out to him. Saito? He's supposed to At last, Saito seemed to snap out of his trance, glancing away awkwardly.
急いで手当てをしろ。傷口から毒が入らぬとも限らん。
Oh, he's so worried about us. Oh, he's so cute. If someone had been watching the two of us from afar, this would have been difficult to notice, but thick droplets of sweat began to form on Saito's forehead. It was obvious to see this was atypical. I assumed it was because he was a Fury. So, Saito, do you want blood? That's different. See, the normal Furies, the default Furies, go crazy whenever they see or smell blood or anything like that. I don't think they necessarily wanted to taste blood. And then when Sanan basically was unable to use his left arm, he wasn't able to, do sword work and everything. So he drank the water of life after experimenting with it. So I don't know if Saito got like an experimented version of the water of life, so to say. So maybe that changed the effect of how blood affects them, I guess. I don't know. Maybe now they're like actual vampires or something. I don't know. His shoulders perked almost immediately. I knew it. Even though you've become a Fury, you've been forcing yourself to stay awake during the day, which I'm sure is only draining your energy. However, Saito never confirmed nor denied my claims, instead sitting solicitously in silence. Perhaps my comment was out of line, but it was impossible to ignore the signs. Why are you pushing yourself so much? You could be like Sanan and Toto, and you could rest during the day and act during the night. That way you can minimize your fatigue. Saito glared at me with white-hot intensity for entertaining such an idea. My heart. Baby. The meaning of Saito's words had not registered immediately after he'd said them. Kazuma is, he is also another romance option, but he is forcefully trying to make us his wife, which I do not like. Chikage Kazuma, a demon previously affiliated with the Satsuma domain. He heads the Kazuma clan and seeks the protagonist as his bride. He is very forceful. I only like his looks. His personality is a big no-no for me. Sheesh! Oh, goodness gravy, no, not one bit. No, it's not, but are you telling me that the only reason you stay awake during the day is to protect me? Commander's orders my butt. He's totally doing this because he loves us. But then... He's lying. He's totally lying. Saito spoke curtly before falling into another prolonged silence as he toiled away with the inkstone. I had no response prepared, so I could only watch him work quietly from behind him. With that, I was left with no choice but to return to my work. Dang. Saito, be more romantic, please. Just a little bit. I know you're hiding it, but like... just give me another smile. I'll take that. Later on that evening, I patiently waited for Toto to wake up so that we could discuss the day's events. The sun dropped into the horizon, melting into the dusk like fresh amber dripping from the tree. Ohayo. Oh, Toto. There's something I wanted to ask you. do you have a moment to spare?
なんだよ、珍しいじゃねえか。
Someone may overhear us, so do you mind if we step outside? Toto is also another romance option. He is very cute.
で、聞きたいことって何なんだ?
As a Fury, how much of a strain does it put on your body to stay awake during the day?
はじめくんのことか。
He knows.
I nodded, and Toto stroked his chin. It seems like Saito has been working just as hard as he was before he became a Fury, but he looks like he's suffering tremendous pain. And, well, originally, I planned on telling Toto about my interaction with Saito, but I was unsure of how best to phrase it. It was almost as if I said it out loud. I was dehumanizing Saito, reducing him to a monster in spite of who he truly was.
もしかして、はじめくん、血を飲みたいって言ってたのか?
No, but he was staring very much so. Now I see why you like Saito. Yeah, He's definitely one that at first you're like, wow, he's such a quiet, only thinks about like honor and stuff. But then when you get to know him, it's like, he's a cutie patootie. My reaction alone seemed to give Toto all the information he needed to deduce the situation.
やっぱりな。そろそろ発作が出てなきゃおかしいと思ってたんだ。昼間あれだけ動いてるんだから。
A seizure? A seizure? What are you talking about? So, what do you suggest I do? Should I tell him to drink blood? Toto paused before answering, staring at a nearby lantern flickering in the darkness. Maybe it was difficult for him to decide as well. However, Toto was the only person I trusted to advise me on how best to approach Saito. Seizure? I mean...
血を飲むのが一番だって三男さんは言ってたけど。
I mean, he can drink our blood. I wouldn't mind that.
さすがにそれはちょっと。はじめくんも受け入れたくねえんじゃねえかな。
Yeah, Saito is definitely the type to not drink anybody's blood, no matter what. Though, I bet it's going to take a lot of convincing to have him drink ours, and I will not mind that one bit. ... What could I really do? If Saito were to suffer one of those episodes, was there anything I could do? Maybe, and this was a big maybe, I could save Saito? By letting him drink my blood?
あとそれから。
Heck yeah, we're gonna let him drink our blood. What is it? What's wrong? Is there anything else bothering you?
いや、前に三男さんがお前について話してたのを思い出してさ。
Oh no, don't. Also, last time, Sanan was almost about to attack us because since we are a demon ourselves, and the water of life comes from demon blood and everything, he almost attacked us because of that. So I wonder what he was talking about us for.
お前の鬼の血を研究すれば落ち水を改良できるんじゃねえかって。
Frickin' Sanan. Sanan has literally become a mad scientist. Like, before he was okay-ish, but now he's like full-on mad scientist, creepy dude. Demon, stronger and more powerful than humans, they have rapid healing powers. Chikage Kazuma, Kyo Shiranui, and Kyoju Amaguri are among their numbers, including us, Yukimura. My blood?
もちろん俺は反対したけどな。成功の見込みがあるかわからねえ実験にお前を付き合わせるわけにはいかねえし。
Heck yeah, I would. I mean, it might help, but at the same time, the water of life in general is not a good idea. ... What Toto said had troubled me because I had a suspicion that I was being watched as of late. Had that person been Sanan? I hope it isn't Sana. That'd be like 10 times creepier. Toto noticed me contemplate the implication of such a thing, and seemingly in response, he pulled something from his pocket to hand to me. Ooh, what is it? What is it? What is it? What is this? Looks like medicine. This is our dad. He bald. Kodo Yukimura, a Dutch-educated doctor in service to the shogunate and the father of the protagonist. He has been missing since shortly after his arrival in Kyoto. He was experimenting on the Shinsengumi. He is rumored to be in the western part of Japan. So, when we were looking for him was, he left us, I think, in 1863, and it is now 1868. So, he's been gone a long time. Oh, they got fancy. Really? But how in the world did Dr. Matsumoto... I had been under the impression that Dr. Matsumoto was firmly against researching the Furies. Dr. Matsumoto is also a bald doctor. Understandable. I see. I grabbed the medicine handed to me by Toto, and I placed it snugly into the pocket of my kimono. Medicine, a bitter compound developed by Ryojun Matsumoto that was used to stifle symptoms of the Fury affliction. So, I'll tell him to drink this medicine when he starts exhibiting symptoms, right? I would like him not to suffer from seizures, very much so. Also, Toto has matured so well. Like, before, in the beginning, he was, like, fighting for food and everything with, Nakakura, the other himbo. And it was always so cute. But now look at him. He's so mature. Okay. Understood. I'll keep this as a last resort. Bye-bye. Toto waved happily before turning around to walk back into the building. After a few steps, he seemed to have remembered something, and he turned to face me again. Oh, I'll keep a good eye on him. I thought he was done talking. I'll keep a good eye on him, don't worry. Uh-huh. Quote, quote, Shinsengumi. It's totally what he only cares about. Totally. Shinsengumi, a military unit made up of Ronin, the purpose of which was to restore public order in Kyoto and counteract the local anti-shogunate forces. They were supported by the Aizu domain, and eventually they became treated as a shogunate vessel. Yeah. Right. Once more, Toto bowed his head and walked away. He was right. Saito had quite the penchant for working himself to the bone. Saito. He was different than the other warriors. His tendency to prioritize both the Shinsengumi and by proxy, Toshi's orders was unwavering. Of course, no one considered it to be a fault, per se, but it was becoming increasingly difficult to ignore that his dedication was taking a toll on him. Saito sacrificed his humanity for the sole purpose of protecting me, so if there was anything I could do to alleviate his pain, even just a little, I would do it. Toto had just mentioned that father left some documents behind in Mibu. Perhaps if I were to visit my childhood home, I could uncover even more information about the Furies. That settles it. I would visit my home tomorrow. Ooh. The very next day, I ventured to the outskirts of Edo in order to locate my old place of residence. I wonder how decrepit it is, because we've been gone for like 4 years. And grass grows in like the span of a week very fast. A bed of overgrown weeds covered the yard, giving me the impression that it was left undisturbed for some time. Yeah, 4 years. If I had to hazard a guess, Father's study would be the best place to look for clues about the water of life. Time to hop in. Let's go. As I crept inside the musty room, I saw what looked to be a moving shadow, and I was startled. Oh no, did I just stumble upon a robbery? I nervously held my breath with my back against the wall, peeking slightly around the corner to see... Is it our dad? A familiar voice called out from the room. Is it our dad? Could it be? No, there was no way I could possibly mistake that voice. It was... Father, is that you? My heart suddenly sank in my chest as I called out to whom I assumed to be my father. Is it? The floor creaked ominous. My arch nemesis. Oh, this word. Ominously. Oh, jeez. As the shadow approached me with slow, measured footsteps. After he stepped into the light, I saw myself. It was... Dad! What the frick is he doing here? Last time we heard he was captured. There stood my own flesh and blood. A wave of nostalgia crashed over me. Father! I ran up to him instinctively, hugging his body tight for the first time in years. The faint smell of chemicals wafted from his clothes, a scent with which I was immediately familiar, or intimately. Yes. I was so overcome with feeling that tears began to form uncontrollably in my eyes. His warm, wrinkly hands reached to pat my head tenderly. Such a kind, familiar sensation. But suddenly, I was thrust back into my childhood, lost in the illusion that the years since I had last seen my father were all dreamt while I slept cozily in my futon. Father, where have you been this whole time? His hands stopped their gentle patting. His smile, however, was as bright as ever. It was a smile I knew well. His lips moved with purpose as he spoke. A certain domain, I see how it is. Ooh, boy. The many years I have to tell you, Father. Ooh, it's a lot. As he desired, I took... Oh my goodness, I cannot speak today. I told Father everything about my travels to Kyoto up until the current moment. How I was under the watchful eye of the Shinsenkumi, and all about what I had seen in their company. How I witnessed the crushing defeat of the Battle of Toba-Fushimi and our subsequent retreat to Edo. Oh, we've been through a lot. Like, the last 2 chapters of Kyoto Winds was so emotional. Oh my goodness. No, not at all. But I cut myself off before I could continue. Because as I was recounting my stories of Kyoto to him, I suddenly remembered all that Sen and Kazuma had told me. Sen is also a demon. She is a princess demon, I believe. Princess Sen, one of the demons whom the protagonist had met in Kyoto. She serves as the head of the Yasei clan and often goes by the name Sen. She's very cute. If I were to ask Father about those things, then I was afraid of hearing such rumors to be true. The rumors that Princess Sen told us about is that apparently Yukimura is a demon clan. But I'm pretty sure our father is not a demon. I'm like 90-80% sure he's not a demon, and something happened to the Yukimura clan and we're like the last ones or something like that. So I think maybe he like took us in or something. I don't know. We'll find out. In all honesty, I was deathly afraid. The silence was deafening after I stopped speaking. It was father who broke the silence.
今日にいた頃、鬼と名乗る生き物たちと会わなかったかい？
Dang, oh, yeah. His question cut directly to the point I had hoped desperately to avoid. I stared back at him intently. After a pause, I nodded, despite my reservations. Yes, I did. In my travels, I encountered 3 men who claimed to be demons: Kazuma, Amaguri, and Shiranui. Kyoju Amaguri, a demon affiliated with the Satsuma domain. He is a master of hand-to-hand combat and is often seen with Kazuma. He is the one that Saito faced in actually every fight. Every single time we've seen this guy, him and Saito have been fighting, and I think it's been like 3 times. Oh wait, no, there was 2. I think there was 2, because the first fight that Amaguri had was with Toto. Oh, and there was a princess as well, Sen.
なるほど。では、もう彼らから聞かされているかもしれんな。
Dad, what do you know?
私はね、お前の実の親ではないのだ。
I am not surprised. I knew it. His sudden confession rendered me speechless. This man wasn't my real father? The adopted father of the protagonist, whom, although a member of the Yukimura clan, isn't related to her by blood.
だが私は、お前を本当の娘のように思っている。
Why do you say that with such a half-lidded expression? You look like you don't care.
いや、実の娘以上に大切に育ててきたつもりだ。なぜなら。
Please don't tell me the reason is because of our blood. His tone suddenly dropped, losing all pretense, and I sensed a darkening within him. Feeling something to be off, I looked at him quietly. What I saw was his usual stern expression, but it was colored a tad differently than I was used to.
なぜなら、お前は風間様の妻となる。
No! No, 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 what the frick?
鬼の一族を再興し、新たな子孫を生み出すための大切な存在なのだからね。
What the frick, Dad? What the frick? Father? Lord Kazuma's wife? Did my ears deceive me? Did Father just refer to me as Lord Kazuma's wife? At first, I believed myself to be speaking to my father, but now, this person to whom I was speaking seemed to be someone else entirely. Who is this man? Had Father always smirked so creepily?
これからこの国で大きな戦が起こる。
Who is this person? Who is this person?
幕府は間もなく滅び、無秩序と混乱が日の本を覆うことになるだろう。
Ah, heck no.
人間どもが同族で争っている隙に、この国を我ら鬼の手に取り戻す。
Ew, no thank you.
はそのために生まれてきたのだよ。
No thank you. Madness burned in Father's eyes as he made his grand proclamation. In this moment, I was reminded of something. There was a question I had asked him at the beginning of our unanticipated reunion. Father, where have you been all this time? Silence. A silence so thick I could hear my heart beat. Father's lip curled into a malicious grin before he muttered under his breath.
言ったじゃないか。とある藩にかくまわれていたんだよ。
Don't tell me he got brainwashed.
今後、徳川幕府に代わってこの国を動かしていくことになる。
No.
薩摩という藩にね。
No! Satsuma Domain, a domain governed by an opposition daimyo named Shimazu. Initially, they supported imperial unification, but eventually allied with the Choshu domain and other like-minded men in the interest of removing the shogunate. So these are the bad guys. I knew it! I knew it! I knew it! I knew it! A haunting chill shot down the length of my spine, and I backed away steadily from Father. The protagonist's missing father, whom was secretly performing experiments upon the Furies in collaboration with the Satsuma Choshu. This man was not my father. He may look just like him. I was unsure of what had happened to him since, but I knew this much. He was a changed man.
さあ来なさい風間様の妻この国の新たな始祖となるのだ
I generally got spooked when he got closer. No! I hastily pushed father aside and I sprinted for the exit out of the house. I have to escape by any means necessary. Whatever happened to change my father was still unknown to me. At the moment, I had no inclination to believe that he could possibly entertain a rational conversation. Until then, I'll have to return to headquarters. Just then...
こんなところにいたのか聞き分けのない子だね
heck no. Gah! How? From what I remember, he was far behind me inside of the house. How in the world could he have just appeared?
聞き分けのない子にはお仕置きをしなくてはね
Oh, heck no. Oh, heck no. No, 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 no. Father's eyes flashed a brilliant shade of gold. What was going on? Oh, no.
さあ一緒に行こう風間様と共に新たな国を作り出すのだ
Oh, what the frick, man. Something sharp began to split from beneath father's forehead. It was the same inhuman horn that I had seen emerge from Amaguri's forehead all that time ago. Why? I was stunned in disbelief at what I was seeing. Unworldly was the only word I could conjure. Everything else, it seemed, was useless.
この角が気になるかそうだろうな鬼の血を引いているとは言っても私の血はお前や風間様とは比べ物にならぬほど薄まってしまっている鬼本来の姿になることすらできぬほど人に近づいてしまっているのだ
What the frick?
だが落ち水が私の体に流れる鬼の血に活力を与えてくれた
No.
どうだこの美しき姿は
You're crazy, dude. Water of life? Don't tell me you. If my ears weren't playing tricks on me, then father truly drank the water of life of his own accord. Oh, jeezums. A demon who had consumed the water of life out of a selfish pursuit to become an unstoppable being. Oh my goodness, no.
さあ来るんだそして風間様と共に新たな鬼の楽園を作り出そう
No, 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 no. I don't want to become his wife. No. Father, who by this point barely resembled himself, let alone a human, snatched at my wrists. No! I made a feeble attempt to swat his hand away, but he was much too strong for me to reject. Somebody, please, anybody, please help me!
雪村そのまま伏せろ
Saito! That voice! I ducked reflexively just as I was told. Then, I heard the chilling sound of flesh being split open by the cold hiss of steel. You get him, Saito. Father's eyes widened angrily, and he... Oh, what in the world is that word? Rancoriously? And he rancoriously turned his back to see his attacker. Before him stood...
何故断りもなく勝手に豚舎を飛び出した
I'm sorry, Saito. I just wanted to check out my home. Saito, why are you here?
江戸であんたが行きそうな場所といえばここ以外にあるまい
Yep. Saito stared back at me sternly, shaking his head before turning to face my father.
あんたは下がっている行動さんと俺が戦う
Thank you, Saito. But...
いいから下がっていろ
Ooh, so stern, so cold. I like it. His tone stung harshly, and without question, I stepped back as he suggested. All I could ask was, would he be alright? Saito possessed the strength and ability of a fury, but this battle would take place in sunlight.
やれやれ親子の感動の対面を邪魔するとは無粋な人だ
Hi, father. I would like you to meet my actual husband, Saito. Thank you very much. So you can take out of your mind the fact that I'm going to be Lord Kazuma's wife. Thank you very much. Oh, what the frick is he holding? Father let out a languid sigh before clutching what sounded like metal within his pockets. Then a silver twinkle glimmered in his hand. It was a handful of scalpels. Scalpels? Those are long scalpels. Father fit them between each of his knuckles. Then he began to shout manically.
いいだろう。落ち水によって手に入れた鬼の力。存分に試させてもらおうではないか。
Oh, Jesus. As his voice bellowed loudly, Father shifted his feet into a fighting stance before whipping 8 scalpels towards Saito. No, Saito. Saito, no! Each scalpel was easily deflected by Saito with a swift flick of his katana. Yes! Then, Saito darted closely around my father to slash at his exposed shoulders. Yes! Both shoulders spewed ribbons of crimson blood that splattered across the bed of weeds below. A display so gruesome I needed to cover my eyes. Despite my feelings regarding my father's deception about our relationship, he was still the man who raised me, a father whom I had loved nonetheless. But now that he had become a fury, these wounds merely tickled his flesh before they immediately began to seal. Oh, frick!
危ないところだった。
Oh no,
も
Saito!
し落ち水を飲んでいなかったら、あっという間に殺されていただろうな。
引くつもりはないのか。今ので実力の差は理解できたはずだ。
Beat him, Saito. Beat him. Just as Saito had said, no matter what powers Father had gained, he had no background in swordsmanship, which meant that his newfound strength could only take him so far. Father, however, gave no indication that he was willing to relent so soon.
ふだと？これはいい。
Yeah, still very much surprised the fact that you are now a demon and attacking your daughter.
この国の支配者となる私がお前たち人間を恐れなければならない理由がどこにあるというのだね。
Destined to... Huh? Father Father chuckled despicably, as if drunk from his own power, and then he hurled more... Oh my goodness, I cannot speak. More scalpels at Saito.
愚かな。
Once again, Saito parried the flying scalpels. Just then, one scalpel in particular... No! Oh wait, did it get him? Bounced off of the tip of Saito's sword and ricocheted to pierce the chest of my father. Yes! Crimson blood splattered over Saito's clothing, the metallic sting of which hit my nostrils. Being showered by that morbid shower of blood made Saito's face scrunch in pain. Suddenly, Saito's movements became strained, as if he were out of breath, and he glistened with sweat. Oh no.
おや、どうしたのだね。
No, Saito, it's the blood, no!
先ほどに比べて動きにキレがないように見受けられるが、
Frick, his weakness.
たったあの程度動いただけで疲れてしまうほど体力がないようにも見えん。ということは。
Oh no. Then, Father's lips smacked I cannot speak, holy cow! Then, Father's lips smacked mischievously. No, you hold it in, Saito, hold it in, you got this. I watched as Saito winced wryly. Then he quickly covered his nose with the sleeve of his kimono. There was no mistake. It was...
なるほど。お前も羅刹となったのだな。
Oh no, he knows! Another evil laugh echoed from Father's booming voice, and he drove a scalpel into his right arm. No! Blood began to ooze slowly from the stab wound. You got this, Saito. You got this, Saito. You got this. You got this. Although he himself had sustained no injuries, Saito clutched at his body with a warped facial expression.
血を飲み たくて飲みたくて仕方ないだろう。この血の甘さと温かさがどれほどのものか確かめたくはないか。
No, 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 no. You got this, Saito, you got this. With each heavy breath, Saito stepped backwards, hoping to distance himself from father's blood. However, the sin had already done its work, and temptation had already began trickling into Saito's frame of mind. His fingers could barely keep their grasp on the katana, which shook nervously. No, Saito! Like father said, Saito seemed exhausted, and his moves reflected that. He couldn't subdue father like this.
どうしたのだ。先ほどとはまるで別人のようだぞ。
You frickin' jerk. Father smirked with glee, glancing at Saito to aim another scalpel before throwing it. No, Saito! Soulless. Whatever of it existed was taking in Saito's speedy healing abilities, but it did little to soothe the sharp throb of a well-aimed stab wound. No, Saito! Saito winced as thick, viscous streams of blood formed around the wound. Mustering whatever willpower he could, Saito dug his heels into the ground, pointing his blade at father. Battling under direct sunlight was enough of an arduous task for Saito, as the harsh rays burned the surface of Saito's pale skin. But Saito persevered, albeit desperately, to fight. Where did such inspiring strength come from?
しかし人の身で落ち水を口にするとは愚かなことをするものだ。お前たち人間の体は我々鬼とは比べ物にならぬほど脆い。
Oh, frick.
落ち水を飲んで一時力を得たとしてもいずれは正気を保てなくなり
No, it won't.
やがては人を襲うだけの化け物となり果てる定めだというのに。
No, it won't. Saito will get through this. I believe in him.
僕もまあ修羅の道を選び取ったものだ。浅はかとしか言いようがない。
Oh, that is not the right words to say to Saito. No. So, what would become of Saito? If all was as father stated, oh my goodness, was Saito destined to become a wretched monster that feeds on the weak and the helpless?
ああだ、悲しいだろ。絶望しただろ。落ち水を飲んだお前はもはや人には戻れん。
No, it's not. He has me.
人としての穏やかな暮らしなど望むべくもないのだ。
いらん世話だ。穏やかな暮らしなど望んだことはない。敵地で刀を交えれば生きるか死ぬかどちらか一つ。
Yeah.
命を惜しいと思うなら鼻から腰に刀など刺しはせん。
どこまでも強がりよ。いいだろう。どこまで本気なのか確かめさせてもらおうではないか。
You got this, Saito. You got this. Father drew another scalpel from his sleeve pocket. What do I do? What do I do? I want to back up Saito. But I also want to keep my faith in him because I know he can do this. I know he can do this, but at the same time, I'm so freaking worried about him. I'm gonna keep my faith in him. I believe I believe him. If I were to act rashly, it would only serve as a detriment to Saito. For now, I could only keep faith in his abilities. Then, a sudden visitor chimed in. Oh my goodness, is it Amaguri? From the distance came a voice that startled Father, freezing him in place. I knew this voice. It was...
こんなところで何をしているのだ。勝手な真似は慎めと言明してあるはずだが。
It's him! I knew it! Also, his voice is really loud. Sound settings. Amaguri. There he is. Okay. Okay.
天城様、
すぐに戻れ。ここに来たことを風間に知られれば、お前はただでは済むまい。
ですが、あの男はすでに羅刹になってしまっています。
Honestly, that is of little concern to Lord Kazuma.
このまま放っておけば、後々厄介なことになるのは明らかかと。それくらいなら、今のうちに。
I mean, Saito almost died to Kazuma and almost died to Amaguri, so not much to worry at the moment right now, sadly.
私は風間から、お前を連れ戻せと命令を受けている。
しかし、
もう一度言う。戻れ。
Amaguri's tone was biting, and he glanced sharply at Saito, who had still been panting in quick breaths.
この男ならば我々が手を下さずともいずれ自滅する。人間としても羅刹としてもな。それにコード、お前がこの娘に余計な照らしをしたことを風間に知られれば、義理の親子といえどもただでは済まるぞ。
Rather contemptuously? Contemptuously? I don't know that one. Father gazed at Amaguri as if on the cusp of a sharp retort, but he said nothing. Eventually, Amaguri nodded, and the two of them vanished like thin smoke into the mist. Saito let out a heavy sigh, showing relief as he sheathed his sword back into its scabbard. Saito, are you alright?
大したことはない。それよりも何故勝手に豚書を飛び出した。
Oh,
もし俺が後を追ってこなければ、そしてここに来ていたのが風間だったら、確実にあんたは連れ去られていた。
It's getting late where I'm at, and I'm getting really tired. Have a good stream, and I'll be sure to... It's no problem. Go get some rest. Rest is very important. So don't worry about it. There will obviously be the VODs afterwards. And you can check out all the other ones if you'd like. I hope you have a good night's rest. Love you. Mwah.
俺が羅刹となった後も、昼間起き続けているのは何のためだと思っているのだ。
Saito's tone was cold, and I felt myself cower nervously from his implicit questioning. I apologize for causing you trouble.
詫びるのではなく、ここに来た理由を言えと言っている。
Damn, he's being so cold. Well, at first, I contemplated how best to tell Saito, but I came here searching for clues on how to suppress the side effects that come with the Fury transformation.
何故だ。三男さんの命令で羅刹体の研究の手伝いでもさせられているのか。
No, I'm just worried about you. No. It's just... You looked like you had been suffering in so much pain, Saito, and I wanted to help.
俺が？
This response came unexpectedly to Saito. Yes! I got a point!
いらん世話だ。別に辛くはない。
Oh, baby. But just now, you looked like you were in pain when Father's blood sprayed on you earlier.
仮にそうだとしても、あんたに一体何の関わりがあるというのだ。
It's all of my business because you're my lover. It has everything to do with me. I mean, the reason you were the reason you even have to suffer the consequences of being a Fury is because of me. I unconsciously tapped my kodachi tied to my hip. If I recalled correctly, as we were leaving Osaka, Saito purposefully handed my kodachi back to me. He indicated that if I were to use this sword with intent, I would have his respect. But now, all Saito could bear to do around me was avoid my line of sight.
豚書を開けたまま来てしまった。もう用は済んだのだな。では戻るぞ。
I guess it is. Oh, I turned to get one last look at my childhood home, but afraid to cause even more trouble, I rushed to follow behind Saito, who'd already begun to saunter away. Just then... No, Saito! Saito! Saito collapsed to his knees, and I sprinted up to him worriedly.
なんでもない。静かにしていればすぐ
No.
治る。
No, baby, no. Baby, no. No. All of the color in Saito's face began to drain. In fact, he looked the furthest thing from fine. Sweat dripped from what seemed like every pore in his body, and his pupils dilated twice their size. He must need... You need blood, don't you? Are you having an episode right now? Saito spit out a wad of saliva, refusing at first to confirm what I'd suspected. With strained movement, he began to clutch his breast tightly as a method of dealing with the pain. I had never seen Saito in a condition such as this. If we remained out in the open, there was no telling who may stumble upon the two of us. Hurriedly, I grabbed Saito's arm and led him into the refuge of the house. What should I do? I don't want him to endure it. I want to see if we can, like, let him drink our blood, honestly. Like, I feel like if we continuously give him medicine, obviously, it'll, stop working, like Toto said. And I don't want him to endure it. So I'm going to refuse everything that he says and try to make him drink our blood, I guess. Because I really don't want him to suffer any suffering. Toto suggested the best way to cope with the symptoms was by drinking human blood. There was no time to dwell. I unsheathed my kodachi, sliding the cold edge of the metal across the tip of my finger. Slowly, thick crimson droplets began to slide from the length of my finger before landing onto the wooden floor. I timidly offered my bloody finger to Saito, who had watched me sheepishly cut my own self. Saito, please, drink my blood. Saito gave no reaction at first, and his brow furrowed as if he were wrestling in silent deliberation. Don't worry about this cut. I'm a demon. The flesh will seal itself in no time.
どうか
If you don't drink my blood, then you're only going to feel worse. Don't think of me. Please. I watched Saito's mind work as I urged him to drink, and finally, he eagerly grabbed a hold of my hand. He hesitantly put his soft lips against the open cut, sipping slowly at first, before sips turned to deep gulps. His Adam's apple bounced rhythmically as he sucked with more force, and then his breathing calmed. Eventually, without a sound, he pulled his wet mouth from my wrinkly fingertips. See? You look far better. I'm happy that you took the chance. Saito's cheeks blushed, and he scurried off to the side to avoid making eye contact. Oh!
傷はまだ痛むか
No, it doesn't hurt, but I heard that you were blushing. No, it's already sealed back up. I suppose having my powers come in handy from time to time. There was a pause, and Saito scratched his head tepidly, thinking of ways to respond.
戻るぞ
Oh. I wanted to spend a little bit more time with you, Saito. Come on. It's fine. He delivered his suggestion curtly before stepping out. I knew that he just couldn't help himself, but it was understandable to think that drinking another person's blood was something to which he still required some adjustment. Of course, there was no better way to treat those awful symptoms, so I couldn't blame him at all. Saito and I had safely returned back to our base.
斉藤さん、雪村君、どこかにお出かけでしたか
Nah, not one bit. Oh, Shimada welcomed us back warmly, but I wasn't sure how to answer his question discreetly. Shimada! an officer in the Shinsengumi as well as a spy with the watch. He's been with the Shinsengumi from the beginning and has been involved with all incidents in Kyoto, such as the Battle of the Ikaida. Wait, wait a second. Didn't he? I thought he died.
雪村がどうしても外せぬ用があるというので、共に出かけてきた。
Am I mistaken? I think I might be mistaken. Because I think like 2 people died last time in Kyoto Winds.
それより仲が騒がしいようだが、何かあったのか。
それがですね、近藤局長が戻ってらしたんですよ。
Hey, he's returned! Chief, Shinsengumi Chief, a position that oversees the administrative and strategic, oh my goodness, I can't, organization of the group. Basically the head honcho that deals with the political sides and the paperwork. Kondo? Really?
ええ。これから合議が始まるそうなので、集まってくださいとのことです。
お、はい。
そうか、わかった。行くぞ、雪村。局長や副長をお待たせするわけにはいかん。
Yep, yep. In the meeting room, Kondo, Toshi, and the rest of the Shinsengumi captains had already gathered.
よし、これで全員揃ったな。それでは合議を始めるぞ。
You are loud, good sir. You are very loud. Kondo. There you are. Heck yeah. Okay, there we go.
さて、新政府軍との戦については、諸軍らも気にかかっていると思うが。
The Imperial Army, a specific reference to a core battalion of capable infantrymen who used Western military techniques and advanced weaponry in the later stages of the Boshin War. Oh yeah, I forgot about the guns.
我々の次の戦場は甲府だ。甲府城で敵を迎え撃つこととなった。
Eh? Kofu, a territory surrounding Edo under the jurisdiction of the shogunate that is generally regarded to be the land protecting Edo Castle. No specific lord governs this plot of land.
トシ、説明してくれ。
Explain it, Toshi, explain it.
俺たちが甲府に出向く目的は、新政府軍に慶喜公の標準の意思を伝え。
Oh? Yoshinobu Tokugawa, the 15th commander-in-chief of the Tokugawa shogunate. After restoring political power to the imperial court, he serves as the feudal lord of the Tokugawa clan, stripped of his previous standing.
奴らに立てつく連中から甲府を守るってことになってる。表向きはな。
From the front at least.
だが真の目的は甲府城にて敵を迎え撃つことにある。
Heck yeah.
もし今回の任務が成功したら、我々に甲府城をくださるそうだぞ。ここは気合を入れて臨まねばな。
Yeah.
そうそう。今日は他にも諸君らに伝えなければならないことがある。
Oh. Kondo crossed his arms, gazing around the room in proud awe at each of his men. It was clear that he was building anticipation, ever the master showman. I cherished the times when Kondo would show his more youthful, excitable side.
なんだよ。言いたいことがあるんなら、もったいぶらないでさっさと言ってくれよな。
長倉君はせっかちだな。そんな調子では城勤めなどできんぞ。
Oh? Kondo chuckled at his own remark before clearing his throat to resume his more official tone.
なんと、今回の任務にあたって、俺は若年寄格という身分をいただけることになった。若年寄といえば大名だぞ、大名。
Oh, heck yeah! Go Kondo! Executive Lieutenant Minister. A position in the shogunate government that was involved in supervising samurai below the rank of daimyo, as well as other vessels of the shogun. Hey.
さらには、大久保剛という新しい名前まで頂戴してきた。どうだ、勇ましいだろう。
I'm still gonna call you Kondo. Kondo blushed bright red with glee, and I had never seen him so enthusiastic before. But none of the other captains, Nagakura especially, seemed to share in his enthusiasm. Surprisingly, all of them looked dejected, as if they were given something bitter to eat.
というわけで、早急に甲府行きの支度を進めてもらいたい。我々が幕府の方々にどう評価されるかは、諸君らの働きにかかっているからな。期待しているぞ。
Oh, no, I can understand why they aren't as excited. Oh. I will not take back my clap, though.
それでは、本日は解散。
As soon as the assembly finished, Kondo walked with a spring in his step, whistling as he exited the room. Wow, Kondo sure is elated to have been given such an honorable promotion. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen Kondo that happy before.
近藤さんはもともと小さな道場の道場主だったからな。働きを認められ、大名に取り立てられたとなれば、浮かれもするだろう。
Yeah? So, if we win the battle, Kondo mentioned that we could keep Kofu Castle? So, if that were to happen, then it would mean you and the other captains would start working with the castle, right? It was hard to imagine for a person like me, who had been born in civilian life, but for a reason I couldn't place, Saito felt less than thrilled about this prospect, and I felt bad.
俺には城勤めなどできん。できるのは人を切ることだけだ。
Saito, come on. After saying that, Saito's eyes thinned, and he gazed towards the sky, which was empty of stars. Thinking about it then, I wondered how Saito himself came to join the Shinsengumi. I had been working for him for so long, and I realized I barely know who he is. We know him. He likes swords. But if I were to make the effort in asking him, then I'm sure he wouldn't have given a straight answer.
近藤さんは一体何を勘違いしてやがるんだ。俺は一度たりともあの人の家来になったつもりはねえぜ。大名だかなんだか知らねえが、舞い上がるのを大概にしてくれってんだ。
He's happy. Let him enjoy his happiness for a little bit.
3、40年前ならいざ知らず、今の幕府にもらった身分じゃな。
Oh, true. ... Neither Nagakura nor Harada seemed excited by the Kondo's news. Saito, I had noticed, seemed fixed on the two of them as they ranted, wearing his usual expressionless gaze. War was about to erupt. I prayed that everyone returned safely. Yeah, that's... I don't know, I'm still happy for the guy, even if this is kind of not too great of a situation, I guess you could say. March 1868, Chapter 2. Wow, we're already on Chapter 2 and it's only been like an hour and 20 minutes, roughly? Oh, dang. Maybe I can do what I thought I could do before and finish 2 chapters in one stream. Springtime brought with it the bloom of new life. The Shinsengumi had renamed themselves as the Kyoto Regulatory Company and departed from Edo. Kyoto Regulatory Company. There we go. A name bestowed by the shogunate onto the Shinsengumi prior to their mission to capture and hold Kofu Castle as a temporary means of legitimizing their organization. Sanan and Toto decided to stay behind in Edo, along with what remained of the Fury Corps. My first assumption was that I would remain behind with them, but for some reason, Toshi saw fit to command me to march besides the Kyoto Regulatory Company. That one's gonna be a hard one. I like Shinsengumi easier. Or, I like the Shinsengumi because it's easier to say. Saito was assigned to watch over me, making this experience altogether not much different than how things had been while we were in Edo. There was one rather large change, however, which was... What was it?
しかしまさかこの俺が様相で戦うことになるとは思わなかったぜ。
Look at you, Nagakura. Look at you. You're so cute in that.
土方さんは新しいもの好きだからな。銃を持った奴らとの戦いにはこっちの方が都合がいいってことだろう。
Oh my goodness, Harada, you look 10 times nicer. Oh, Harada.
着るのには苦労したけどな。
Maybe, but like, you look very nice.
特にこのボタンってやつの使い道が最初さっぱりわからなくて。
After embarking from Edo, many of the men were given a new Western-style uniform to wear. I found them rather dashing, despite how form-fitting all of the accessories and garments were compared to Japanese clothing, but everyone had their doubts. Hey, Saito, how do those tight sleeves fit on you? Are they hard to move in? What does he look like? So prim. So prim and proper. So prim and proper, baby boy. I think these clothes have buttons instead of sashes to fasten things together.
そうらしいな。
This had been my first opportunity to see Saito adorn his Western uniform, but I had to say, he looked quite handsome. He does. He looks very nice and very dashing, and just his like little cravat thingy going on. Of course, I was a little taken aback to see that he had cut inches off of his hair, but Saito, rather unsurprisingly, was difficult to read, and I wasn't sure if he was upset by it or not. Oh, I didn't notice he cut his hair. Oh, he did. He doesn't have his little ponytail. It's fine. I still love him anyway. With or without the ponytail, I still love this man. Uh-huh. Saito, I think you forgot to button those last two right there.
おそらくこういう作りなのだろう。
Oh, that is by design? Maybe, but I think those two holes are there so that you can slip those last two buttons in. I think that you've missed a couple. Hearing this, Saito quietly dropped his eyes to peek at the aforementioned buttons on his new coat. Do we jerk? His cheeks flushed with color as he bit his lip.
後で直す。
That is just another amazing thing, is when you see like a prim and proper dude and he like misaligned his buttons and he's like walking around and it's like two or like one button off and you're like, oh my goodness, the prim and proper man. He made a mistake and it's so cute. I'm so sorry. If it doesn't bother you, then don't worry about it. It's fine either way. I want to take care of those buttons for him. Judging by his reaction, it seemed getting Saito to feel uncomfortable. Oh my goodness! It seemed getting Saito to feel comfortable would be like pulling teeth. Now that I think about it, I haven't seen Kondo around recently. Did he not join our convoy?
近藤局長でしたら、まだ日野のあたりにいらっしゃると聞いていますが。
Look at him. He also looks really nice, Soma. Hino, a rural town located on the edge of Koshu Kaido, besides Bushu in Tama. Oh, jeez. It is the location where Hijikata was raised, and it is famous for its inn. Or in this case, where Toshi was raised. Hino?
どうせ新入り大使と宴会でもしてるんじゃねえの？さく、何考えてるんだろうな。あの人、今回の甲府行きを旅行が何かと勘違いしてるんじゃねえのか？
I think it's a mini vacation.
そう言ってやるなって。久しぶりに嫁さんや娘にも会いてえだろうし、故郷に錦も飾りてえだろうよ。
Heck yeah.
俺は別に宴会そのものに文句つけてるわけじゃねえよ。時と場合を考えてくれって言ってるんだ。
Says the man who goes out drinking. Nagakura's sour rant consequently made the mood around his general vicinity lower, especially for some of the new members. I snuck a glance over at Saito, who was walking quietly beside me. his stride almost step for step with mine. Although he wouldn't have been one to express much, I noticed his brows locked in a feral position. There was something heavy on his mind. What is it? Tell me. Tell me, Saito. Tell me your worries. Eventually, Toshi loudly barked at the convoy to halt from the front, stopping to face us.
大丈夫か、雪村。そろそろバテ始めてるんじゃねえか。
Look at it. He got his hair. And he still looks so gosh dang good. I'm gonna just admire all of these men once again for a secondary time. I'm fine, thank you.
悪いな。いきなり俺たちに同行させることになっちまって。
I don't mind at all. Oh, I don't mind at all, but I wondered, is it really okay for me to be marching out here with you guys? I mean, I'm just a little worried that I could be just a distraction on the battlefield. Toshi's expression turned glum. He seemed to stroke his chin absent-mindedly, lost in a deep thread of concentration. Of course, the tsundere.
俺もできれば江戸で留守番させてやりたかったんだがな。
I don't know why, but I think I kind of like him more with short hair.
今のお前を一人で屯所に置いておくのは危険すぎる。戦場まで連れてきた方がかえって安全ってもんだ。
Dangerous? Then, Saito chimed in.
三男さんのことですか?
Yeah, cause frickin' Sanan's wanting all of our blood and all that bullpuckery.
さすが察しがいいな。その通りだ。近頃あの人の様子がどうもおかしい。
Which I'm still surprised that he's a frickin' romance option with how weird he is in the story.
余裕をなくしちまってるっつうか、羅刹の本性をむき出しにすることが増えちまったっつうか。
Scratching at the walls? ... I wasn't sure of what to say. I too had experienced suspicious interactions with Sanan that left me a little more uneasy than I would have liked.
お前を屯所に置き去りにしといて、取り返しのつかねえ事態になっちまっても困るからな。
Yeah.
いろいろ面倒事は多いが、一緒についてきてもらうことにしたんだ。すまねえな、付き合わせちまって。
Also, I just noticed that Saito is wearing black gloves, and that is so... Oh, please don't worry about me. At first, Toshi's sudden orders confused me, especially because I was certainly no warrior, but it appeared as though he had a lot to think about, which was understandable in his position.
副長、一つお知らせしたいことが。
なんだ、サイト。
新八とサノが今回の甲府での戦について多大な疑問を抱いている様子です。特に近藤局長の行動について。
Ooh. Toshi gave a wry smile.
疑問つうより不満だろう。そりゃ俺も気づいてたよ。これから戦だってのに、局長が宿に入り浸って酒かっくらってたんじゃ、あいつらが腹を立てるのも当たり前だよな。
Yeah, but God needs to enjoy his time. Like, this is important for him.
ただこのご時世、普通に募集をかけたところで、大使なんて集まってこね
Hey,
え。
maybe with this new look and get up, you'll get more people, eh?
酒やら給金を目の前にちらつかせて関心を買わねえとな。
What? In the past, I was somewhat ignorant of their recruiting methods, but are men who are more easily swayed by the promise of alcohol and money the kinds that men are leaders expected to fight tooth and nail for the Shinsengumi?
率直にお聞きします。副長は今回の戦、勝てるとお思いですか?
Yeah, if you think about it, people who are just in it for like, you know, money and booze and all that stuff don't necessarily have the same, what's the word? Determination? Firepower? Willpower? Strength? to fight as people who actually have, like, who actually are there because of what the Shinsengumi is for. Ui.
城にこもって戦えばまず負けはしねえはずだ。
城をということは野戦になった場合は。
お前は本当聞いてほしくねえことばかり聞いてくれるよな。野戦になりゃ勝つのは相当難しくなるだろう。今回の戦にあたって幕府のお偉いさんから武器や大砲を預かってきたが、
Oh, heck yeah, we got guns now.
薩長が使ってやがる新型の武器にはどうしたって歯が立たねえ。
では今回は負け戦になると。
Also, I noticed that they both are wearing different symbols, and I think the others are wearing different symbols too. I think I might want to look that up later.
そうならねえよう努力はするさ。近藤さんにはなるべく負け戦なんて経験してほしくねえ。とはいえ、人も武器も急ごしらいで臨む戦だからな。
Yep. Toshi turned his somber eyes to face the cumulus clouds bunching into clusters overhead. Then, after a deep sigh, he faced Saito and me.
こんな話をシンパチや原田に聞かせるわけにはいかねえだろう。勝つ保証はねえが死ぬ気で戦ってくれなんてさすがに言えねえよ、俺でも。
Toshi. ... This was the first time I'd ever seen Toshi express a moment of vulnerability. It was so unlike him to admit that the odds were stacked against them. On top of this, how often had he found himself unable to show honesty in any of the captains, men that he spent many, many years fighting alongside. Saito was stoic, and he gazed back at Toshi with the face of a docile servant.
お気持ちをお察しします。相変わらず憎まれ役がお上手で。
ま、それが俺の役回りだからな。
Toshi's like, oh, come on, Saito, don't be like that. And I'm like that too. Saito, stop it. I know honor and everything is important, but like, relax just a hair bit for me. For me. Later, we were encamped just off the trail, and within the tent, I laid awake restlessly. Toshi's rather hopeless confession wouldn't stop stirring repeatedly in my head. From the corner of my eye, I saw Saito's sudden movement as he quietly exited the encampment. I wonder if he's gonna make that owl be quiet. I wonder what's wrong. Did he have business to attend to? Although it would have been better for me to leave him be, I was concerned that it had something to do with his health or condition, so I went to follow him. No, Soma!
雪村先輩、どうしたんですか？
Everything's fine, Soma. Go be a page somewhere else. I love you, and I like how you look, but you're in my way. I'm worried about Saito. I'm gonna make sure he's okay.
そっとしておいた方がいいんじゃね？
He's my lover, gosh dang it. I'm gonna go check up on him.
もしかしたら副長と何か話でもあるのかもしれねえし。
Silence. Nomura, silence. I will go check up on him. If that were the case, then I'd come right back. Do either of you mind keeping watch for me? With that, I ran after Saito. Heck yeah, let's go, let's go. Oh no, it's the owl again. Where did he go? Ah, there he is. Saito stood alone in the middle of an open patch in the forest, silently staring towards the clear sky. The stars glowed intensely, as if they were all on course to rain down upon him, and he stood mesmerized. He was as expressionless as ever, but his shoulders slumped below the twinkle of his melancholy eyes. A lonely display, I thought to myself. Just then... Oh! I accidentally brushed a branch, rustling the leaves behind which I was hiding. It's me. Saito's sharp voice cracked the silence.
10数える間に姿を現せ。さもなくば、切る。
He must have thought I was an enemy soldier spying on him. His tone was biting, and I could hear his hand wrapped around his katana's hilt. Wait, it's me. Oh, dang, there goes my dogs. Give me a moment. Okay, dogs have been taken care of. I need a drink. There we go. Okay, back to the story after the dogs took out all that immersion. At once, I leapt from behind the shrub. Oh no, I'm not on my game. There we go. When Saito had realized it was me, his expression became sullen.
何故一人で陣を出てきた。先日のことを何も反省していないようだな。
No, I haven't forgotten, but I hear that music in the background. I'm sorry. It's just that I had a lot on my mind, and I couldn't fall asleep. And then I saw you leaving the camp, so... Saito hadn't reacted one bit whatsoever, keeping his stoic eyes locked on me as I explained myself. Eventually, he just turned to look at the moon, gazing quietly at the soft, tender light. Why did you come here? Did you need some fresh air? Saito didn't respond. Instead, he continued to stare into the sky, and his eyes thinned as if the stars were shining too brightly. Surely Saito was consumed with thoughts that tightly coiled within his heart. I felt a little guilty for interpreting this moment of solace, but... So what do you think, Saito? About what Toshi said earlier, I mean. Well, if things go the way Toshi predicted them to, then we might end up losing this time around, right?
そうだろうな。我々の持つ武器はあくまでも旧式のもの。新型の兵器を駆使する薩長の部隊には到底歯が立たん。しかも今回共に戦う新入りの大使たちはどれも銃などまともに扱えぬ輩ばかりだ。
Sadly. Then, why don't they find swordsmen?
人を殺めたことがある者が何の咎めもなしに市中を往来していると思うか。
True.
道場剣術がどれほどうまくとも実戦では何の役にも立たん。戦いにおいて寛容なのは人を切ることができるかどうかだ。
So cold, Saito, so cold. Saito was right. It didn't matter how many men were recruited. Without actual experience on the battlefield, we may as well have been sending men to their graves. Having both Toshi and Saito describe in great detail just how dire our situation was awoke within me a potent, depressive hopelessness. Aren't you scared, Saito? Entering the battlefield knowing that defeat could be likely? You might die. In my heart, I realized how futile this question might have sounded, especially to someone like Saito who, on numerous occasions, came face to face with death. He was a man who, without a shred of doubt, accepted death as his companion a long time ago. It was a bravery that I could not fathom. His answer, perhaps unsurprisingly, was delivered indifferently. But he added something that I was not expecting. AKA losing us. Wink wonk. What you believe in? His words were so obscure that it was difficult for me to extract any kind of meaning from them. After a calm pause, Saito looked me in the eye, taking a deep breath before asking me a question. Warrior's other name? You talking about a courtesy name? Other name? You mean like samurai? Saito shut his eyes and slowly shook his head. Oh?
刀を刺した侍はどんな狭い道でも左端を歩く。武士の魂たる刀を他人に触れさせたくはないからな。
Of course he'd say this. With how much he loves swords, I'm not surprised. But Saito kept his sword on the right side of his hip, and he always unsheathed with his left. After giving it a second of consideration, I don't think I've seen anyone other than Saito who kept their sword on the right side.
俺は生まれつき左利きだ。そのせいでどの道場に行っても免状や切り紙など受け取ったことはない。
License nor kirikami? License, a document signifying mastership of all disciples within a particular martial art, awarded to a student by their master. I don't know what that other one is. We'll find out later.
市内を握った瞬間、まず部長法物と持ち方を正される。その繰り返しだった。
Baby, all because you're left hand. Oh, baby.
だがそんなことを言った連中で、俺に勝った者はただの一人もいない。
Heck yeah, you go, Saito.
師範代、目録、大層な肩書きを持った者でも、打ち合えば無名の俺に負ける。
Heck yeah. Assistant instructor, a secondary instructor in martial arts classes who leads exercises rather than develops curriculum. It can also be a title given to a master teaching a specific pupil.
では本物の強さとは一体何だ。昔の俺はそんなことばかり考えていた。
Saito muttered to himself nonchalantly. However, learning how much he had overcome told me just how much this question meant to him. For years? So, does that mean you found an answer? Saito fell silent. Without another word, he unsheathed his sword, and the cold, shimmering moonlight reflected off the blade.
簡単なことだ。真剣で切り合って、勝った方が強い。単純にして明快な答えだ。260年続いた太平の世で、侍同士が切り合いをすることなど滅多になくなってしまったが、それでも侍というのは、刀を振るうのが本分だったはずだ。
Saito's eyes glowed from the shine of the lit blade, but they still carried a thick darkness behind them. A tingling chill ran down the length of my spine.
だが、そう思っていたのは俺だけだったようだ。新選組ができる前、 ある旗本の指定に果たし合いを申し込まれ、その相手を切り殺したことがある。
Oh dang. What? A Hatamon, a Hatamoto was one of the elites in our society. To kill one of them in a duel, I imagine, would have been a serious offense.
俺が果たし合いに勝ち、その相手は負けた。
Oh dang, you go, Saito.
だが勝ったはずの俺は罪に問われ、史跡を剥奪され、武士の証を失った。
No, baby.
武士というのは、もともと人を切るのが役目だったはずなのに、実際に切ると罪人と呼ばれる。
Baby, no.
こんな矛盾した話があるか。その頃の俺はそう考えていた。
The weight that Saito put behind each utterance of warrior was so heavy, as though his life was formed and guided by those standards alone. I doubt, sadly, that I would be able to find any who would find themselves in agreement with him. Dang, poor boy. Friggin', he was challenged, then promptly convicted of murder. Despite having an unparalleled talent, he had no one to validate said talent, a frustrating fact indeed. His tragic lack of support instigated him to rely on his own measures for both strength and honor for validation, which were tricky to navigate. Baby, no. For once, I got a glimpse of the bitter loneliness that he had been nursing for most of his life.
だが新選組の皆は勝つために、目の前の相手を殺して己が生き残るために刀を振るう。それは俺の思い描く武士の姿とよく似ていた。
Baby, no.
司令官で皆に会った時は、初めて話の通じる相手に巡り合ったと思ったものだ。
Shiie Hall. Shiie? A dojo in Edo that taught the Tennen Rishin. That's so weird. Style of swordsmanship. It was owned by Isami Kondo, a fourth generation head. Many of the Shinsengumi studied, trained, or lived there. Hearing Saito's story made me finally realize all that gave him strength and brought him strife. The Shinsengumi was the shelter and system of support that he had needed.
新選組で一番人を切っているのは、おそらく俺か宗司のどちらかだろう。
Oh dang.
だがどれだけ多くの人間を切り殺しても、薄気味悪がられ、恨まれこそすれ、感謝されることなど絶対にない。
Why do I feel that so hard?
俺が今まで研ぎ続けてきた爪は、シャバでは何の役にも立たない。それは自分でもよくわかっている。
So much. Saito rotated the blade to make his reflection visible, and he gazed longingly at himself. Taking a closer look at his sword, I realized that it was quite thinner than some of what the other men had. I suppose he sharpened his blade religiously, wearing it out in combat until it was of no use at all. If what he said about his amount of skills, or his skills, it's his kills, his amount of kills were true, then this must have happened dozens of times.
だがこれが、この爪だけが、俺が勝ち続けてきた証なのだ。
Oh, baby.
切り合いでは誰にも負けぬはずの血生臭い剣技だけが。
You have more than that, honey baby boo. I gasped. When Saito drank the water of life, he said it was in order to protect me, but perhaps more than that, he was afraid of confronting what defeat could mean to himself, which served in the greater interest of preserving his pride. So, this is what gave Saito the will to continue.
しかし時代は変わった。
And me. I'm hoping I also encourage him to continue on living.
鍛え抜かれた剣の技よりも、幼獣の方が多くの人間を殺すことができる。
Yep.
武士が刀を持つ意味も、俺が爪を研ぎ続ける意味もなくなりつつある。
Yep. Like, even kids these days are holding freaking guns. Saito bitterly bit into his lips, sheathing his sword back into its scabbard. For him, wielding the sword was the single most important honor any man could have. But the age of the blade was coming to its end. Beyond facing death or accepting the burden of becoming a fury, Saito's very way of life was threatened by the passage of time, an inevitable deluge of change beyond himself. This would make anyone nervous, but to Saito, it meant a total reevaluation of the truths he had held dear to the entirety of his life. What could I possibly say to him? Frick, what do I say to him? It's not like... I could say maybe you're right, and that I could try to be like, yeah, you're right, but this, this, and this. Or I could be like, it's not like that at all. You have this, this, and this. Oof. I don't know. 'Cause, like, people can, like, obviously still kill with swords and everything, but now it's more like an art form than a way of actually killing people. I mean, it still is, but, like, obviously people use guns more than swords, but they're still used. I'm gonna say it's not like that. I don't think you're right to think that there's no honor left in serving as a warrior. Saito quietly stared back at me as I spoke. Inoue told me... Oh, no, it was Inoue who died, captain of the Shinsengumi's 6th Division. He's a childhood friend of Kondo's, who became a founder of the Shinsengumi. He lost his life in the Battle of Toba Fushimi. A warrior would never turn his back on his promises, nor would he make a woman cry. Regardless of whatever generation of warrior exists, the value of honesty, kindness, and strength will always continue to be passed on. Or do you believe that these two will become obsolete in the new era? Again, Saito had no response, and instead, he tepidly shook his head. Those doubts still seemed to linger within him. His voice was barely audible. However, he did not complete his thought, and once more he glared at the empty nothingness above us. His tone was, perhaps intentionally, more curt than usual. Maybe I was the wrong person to approach Saito about this kind of issue. No, did I miss the point? I could have missed a point. I feel like I missed a point. You're right. The insects chirped and hummed from the trees as we made our way back to camp. We were nearly there when... No, Saito! Saito, baby, no! Saito stopped suddenly, his face twisted with pain. Saito, what's wrong? I ran to him as he leaned heavily against a nearby tree, his fingers digging into the bark. His teeth ground aggressively, and his breath was strangled. As I watched, he began to sweat. My stomach pitched as I realized what it was. Is it blood? Do you want blood? I feel like if I give him too much blood, it'll be bad. I don't want to give him more blood. I feel like that'll go south real quickly. Frick. I don't remember when last we gave him blood. I feel like he can handle it. What should I do? Would he feel better if he drank blood, or was medicine the better option? I stood there helplessly panicking.
平気だ。発作が起こるのは初めてではない。時が経てば。
You got this, I believe in you. I believe in you. His pale face was dripping with thick beads of sweat, but he did his best to feign calmness. However... Oh no! A wave of excruciating pain seemed to hit him at once, and Saito dropped to his knees, practically collapsing in a desperate fit. Saito, please hang in there! I grabbed a hold of his body frantically. With every heavy, staggered breath, his shoulders would raise and drop in forced, repetitive motions. Baby! I watched Saito dig his fingernails into his chest to distract himself from the overwhelming agony. I had never seen Saito suffer so intensely as he was now. For someone like him who always displayed the utmost discipline to be grimacing so intensely, I could only begin to imagine how unbearably suffocating all of this must have seemed to him. You got this, baby. Saito waved me away with his hand earlier so that I would ignore him, but between his breathing, his gritted teeth, and his strained groans, a futile attempt to downplay the pain, I was unsure how he could handle it at all. I could only wallow pathetically from the side, thinking of how I was unable to help in any way. All I could do was embrace him, and hope beyond any shred of doubt that he would be okay. You got this, baby, you got this. Okay, good. He continues. Next time, we will give him medicine, though. The next day, our march continued on. Finally, we arrived in Kofu. However... A while ago...
もっと早く着く方法はいくらでもあったんじゃねえの?
Yeah.
誰かさんがのんびり酒盛りなんてしてなきゃな。
新八、やめとけって。敵がこんだけ早くたどり着くなんて予想できねえよ、普通は。
Frick.
しかも、この話を聞いた大使のほとんどが昨夜のうちに脱走してしまったようです。
Why am I not surprised? Also, he got a haircut as well.
おそらく今残っているのは100人ほどかと。
Only Oh.
100人って。
Oh boy.
確か江戸を出た時は200人ほどの大使がいたはずですよね。大使の半分以上が逃げ出してしまったということですか。
Oh, jeez, Everyone stood stunned in quiet resignation. As a creeping dread got the better of me, I looked over at Saito, who whispered to him, Saito, what does this mean for us? Are we going to plan an attack to take over the castle? Saito's voice barely hovered above a murmur so that the other warriors wouldn't overhear him. Frick.
城を攻めるには少なく見積もっても相手の3倍の兵力がいる。
Frick.
確実な勝利を目指すならば10倍の兵が必要だ。
Frick.
しかもこれは双方の武器が互角の場合。
And it's most likely not equal.
鳥羽伏見で戦った薩長軍のような新型の兵器を持った敵を相手にするのならさらに多くの人員が必要だろう。
Frick. Then, when I turned to look at the men in the discussion, each captain had their gaze fixed on Kondo to weigh his feedback. Kondo, however, uttered a surprising declaration.
撤退はしない。要所に布陣し、敵の出方を待つ。
Sir, are you saying this just because you want your position as whatever rank you have to be set in stone? Has it gotten to you?
なんだって。お上から支度金をいただいて出陣したのだぞ。
Okami, referential title reserved for the leader of the country of Japan. In this context, it refers to the Tokugawa shogun prior to the restoration of imperial rule. Doesn't matter if we're frickin' funded by him. It means nothing if we don't have anything. Easily?
諸君らは武士ではないのか。今こそ慶喜公に我々の忠義を示す絶好の機会なのだぞ。
What the frick, Kondo? What the frick? The crowd of freshly recruited soldiers roared in unison as Kondo roused them accordingly.
さすが近藤局長、武士の鏡です。
I wouldn't call that inspiring.
我々にお任せください。粉骨砕身、ご公儀のために尽くす所存です。
Shogunate, the term referring to the type of government which had been used by Japan for much of its history, wherein power is centralized around an overarching military and its head. Wait a second. The President of the United States is the friggin'... He's like the head of military. Oh my goodness. Did I just realize something?
おい、近藤さん。勇ましいのは結構だけどよ。少しは現実ってもんを見てくれよ。
Yeah, open your eyes.
向こうがどんだけの軍勢で来てんのかわかんねえけど、城を取られてる時点で、こっちが圧倒的に不利なんだぜ。
長倉君、君は勝てる勝負しかしないつもりかね。その腰に刺しているものは一体何だ？
Excuse me, what? Kondo? Okay, I'm not liking Kondo anymore. He was decently on the list, and now he's very much low on the list.
俺は戦うのが怖えわけじゃねえよ。勝つ見込みがまるでねえ勝負に命なんて張らねえって言ってるだけだ。
The tension became thick in the air, and I was worrying that the situation would escalate into violence before Toshi chimed in.
落ち着け、新八。この後合流する予定の部隊があるんだ。江戸に待機してるから、俺が今から呼びに行ってくる。それに敵側も、まだ俺たちの正体には気づいてねえはずだ。
Probably not, but it's still worrying.
こっちから仕掛けねえ限り、戦になることはねえ。だから、あと少しだけ辛抱してくれ。
I'll trust you, Toshi. I'll trust you. Nagakura angrily slammed his fist to the ground.
わかったよ。あんたにそこまで言われちゃ仕方ねえよな。
Yeah. Afterwards, Toshi departed swiftly, making his way back to Edo. Oy. Thankfully, the Imperial forces made no attempt to attack us, instead keeping themselves safely fortified within the walls of Kofu Castle. If battle were to ensue, then I was sure that we would all have been killed easily, like a wave crashing on a shore before reinforcements could arrive. Although our men were intently patrolling the surrounding areas of our camp, we had just above 100 warriors in our ranks, which would do little to stave off an actual attack. Then, I saw Saito, who appeared a tad meek. What's up? Are you alright, Saito? Your skin is so pale. I don't trust your words. The color had so thoroughly drained from his skin that I was sure he was soon to faint. Well, you don't look fine. Why don't you take a breather? Well, I suppose. The afternoon sun was blaring in the sky, radiating so intensely my skin felt like it could peel off. Normally, even walking under the sun would have been overwhelming to Saito. However, if war were to break out, the hairs on my arms stood at the thought. Just then...
敵兵がこちらに向かってきます。
なんだ、俺たちの正体に気づきやがったか。
10人ほどです。おそらく石膏部隊と思われます。
I apologize, Shinpachi.
こっちに向かってきやがるぜ。幸い銃は持ってねえみてえだな。
What the frick?
しょうがねえ。応戦するか。
Nakakura unsheathed his sword and Harada fetched his spear, both of them readying themselves into an offensive stance. The Imperial soldiers unsheathed their swords in return, and they sprinted toward us, but
甘いんだよ。
with one quick movement, Nakakura swung his sword, slicing against the abdomens of the incoming soldiers, spilling pints of thick blood against the dirt floor. Nagakura aimed the tip of his blade to the sternum of the soldier, driving his sword into him with intense force as the soldier coughed up blood. Without another word, the soldier fell limply to the floor.
よし、一丁上がりっと。
Something's not right. Just as Nagakura barked confidently in laughter, I knew it, something wasn't right. The Imperial soldier who we had presumed to be dead on the floor laughed eerily. Their eyes were red. Then he leapt up, jumping high above Nagakura's body into the air. The soldier took out his sword and swung down.
なんだって。
As he parried the approaching katana, Nagakura screamed out in disbelief.
一体どうなってやがるんだ。
They're Furies, aren't they?
致命傷を負わせたはずなのに生き返ったってことは。
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry, Shinpachi. Just then, the eyes of the enemy soldier flashed a bright shade of crimson.
これは羅刹か。だが何故新政府軍が羅刹を。
Our father.
どうなってやがるんだ。羅刹は夜しか動けねえはずだろ。
I mean, you got Saito right next to you. Oh, frick, that's a lot. One after the other, each of the scout troops had their eyes and hair turned red and white, respectively.
化け物どもめ、覚悟。
Frick. Despite their best efforts, our new warriors were all powerless against the Furies, lacking the know-how and skill set necessary to tackle these beasts. Frick.
助けてくれ。誰か。
Oy. There was simply no match, and the Furies slaughtered each of our men without any remorse. These Furies came out of nowhere. How could they be here? No, it couldn't be.
素晴らしい成果だ。
I knew it.
この日が来るのをずっと待っていた。私の可愛い子供たちが白日のもと力を存分に発揮してくれる日よ。
My worst fears were realized as Father appeared from behind a tall tree. Father seemed to be in a trance as he gazed at each Fury menacingly acting under the light of the sun. Oh, maliciously acting. Furies. Kodo Yukimura had developed a second line of deadly Furies whose battle proficiency was unhindered by sunlight. Frick. His eyes gleamed with madness and he smiled. Amaguri, who had been standing beside him, however, had a bitter expression as he watched the visceral battle take place.
どれだけ似せたところで、こんなもの所詮は我らのまがいものに過ぎる。
Yep. Fake. Pejorative slang term used by demons to refer to Furies.
日の光を恐れぬようになったとはいえ、おぞましき本質が変わるわけではない。
A fake.
偽りは偽りよ。
A fake is a fake is a fake. That sounds weird.
お言葉ですが、何が本物で何が偽物かを決めるのもまた曖昧な基準に過ぎません。少なくとも彼らはこの日の元を我が物顔で闊歩する人間どもよりは強い。彼らさえいれば旧幕府軍も新政府軍も、いえ、この国を狙う西洋諸国さえ敵ではありません。
Oof.
この国を狙う者たちをすべて滅ぼした後は、再び我ら鬼の時代がやってくるのです。
Frick. Amaguri winced at my father's words as if he were smelling something foul.
おぞましき戦いよ。ここまで強さを冒涜する者を今まで目にしたことがない。
He sighed, closing his eyes in resignation.
くそ、こいつらどんだけ切り刻めば死にやがるんだ。
普通の人間ならとっくにナマスになっててもおかしくねえ頃なのにな。頭にくるぜ。
Frick. Both Nagakura and Harada panted heavily. Sweat glistened all over their bodies as they continued to slice and weave through the flurry of furies. Oh my goodness. However, instead of dying, each fury simply rose back up and their wounds healed as expected. As the fatigue began to settle in, the furies approached us menacingly, licking their lips as they stared us down. One of the furies made an attempt to grab my arm. Ah! Go, Saito! Protect me! Saito unsheathed his sword hastily, swinging without a second thought at the incoming fury. Much to our dismay, however, the fury's slashed wound sealed itself, and he stood up and dusted himself off as if nothing had happened.
やれやれ、このままじゃキリがねえな。じわじわ体力を削られて全滅するのを待つだけだ。
Frick.
とはいえ、全滅ってのは響きが良くねえな。ってことで斉藤、事前の手はず通りよろしく頼むぜ。
What did they discuss?
承知した。
What did we discuss?
雪村、あんたは俺と共に来い。
Or what is discussed? I don't remember.
もしもの時は二人で先に逃げるよう土方さんに言われている。
But that's not right. We're leaving the other warriors so that we could escape?
あんたがここにいても足手まといにしかならん。いいから来い。
おいおい、もうちょっと言い方考えてやらって。そういうところ、とことん気が利かねえのな。
俺たちのことは心配しなくていいぜ。
I am very much gonna worry.
分かってんだろ。俺たちがめちゃくちゃ強いってこと。
I am still gonna worry. Harada, Nagakura. I was flushed with guilt, but there was nothing I could do myself to help them, even if I had stayed there. I quickly bowed to the two of them, and Saito yanked my arm as we sprinted away together. Well, frick.
羅刹になった身で日の光の下を歩くのは途方もない苦痛を伴うはず。あの男を突き動かしているものは一体なんだ。
Love.
意地か名誉かはたまた
Love.
お前たち、あの娘を追いなさい。
あ
傷を負わせずに生け捕りにするのだ。
No thank you. My father shrieked his order loudly, which caused a gang of nearby furies to scream in response before running after us. Saito's hair turned white, the color of the fury. Saito, no! You can't use your fury powers while the sun is still out.
今はそんなことを言っている場合ではあるまい。
Oh, damn. Saito maneuvered through the furies with precision, coldly slashing at each fury until they fell defiantly. Definitely. A lengthy chill shivered through my body. You got this, Saito, you got this. I believe in you. Without any wasted movement, Saito sliced into each of the Fury's vital points with a godly display of technique. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, there's so many. With each wave of his sword, however, came the splatter of Fury blood all over his porcelain face. Frick. To avoid the stinging scent of blood, Saito tried covering his mouth and nose all at once with his arm. Then he looked down, his face becoming more pale. At any moment, he looked set to collapse. Saito! As I watched these events unfold, I sheepishly called out to him. His head was kept low, and the left hand that was gripping his sword went limp. What was going on? I had never once seen him appear so weak, especially right in the middle of a fight. Oh no. Saito's lips were pursed ever so slightly, and I could hear the pain weigh heavily in his voice, just as a groan escaped his lips. Saito swung with such swiftness and agency that it was barely visible. However, the force of the blade's path was so tremendously powerful that it was impossible to believe that it came from this weakened Saito. Saito slashed repeatedly at the fallen fury, cutting into the flesh with a noticeable amount of spite. Each swing brought another wide splash of blood. No, Saito! Saito! What is wrong? You've already defeated the fury. You need to hurry up and get out of here. But it was no use. Saito paid no attention to my desperate pleas. As his face was covered by compounding layers of blood, I began to see a smile. No. No, I don't believe it.
残念なことです。彼は他の羅刹とは違うと思っていたのですが。
A voice was heard from above me. I saw a figure perched atop a long tree branch. Then the figure dropped down, and his tone sharpened more harshly than when we had spoken earlier.
その血肉を羅刹の餌とするくらいなら。
Rick, no, don't kill Saito, please.
せめて私の手でその生を終わらせてあげましょう。
Within the span of a blink, Amaguri ducked low, crouching to hit Saito from below. As I saw Amaguri prepared himself to attack, my mind immediately envisioned the horrors of what could potentially ensue. No! I felt my feet practically fly from the ground as I burst forward to protect Saito. From behind me, I heard Father call out to me. But there was no way I could stop because Saito still hadn't noticed Amaguri coming for him. He hadn't realized that his left hand was worth more than the value of his penchant for death. He could live a life apart from swinging his sword. Until he discovered this truth, there was no way I could let him die. Just then, the gruesome sound of flesh being split apart cracked in my ears. Did I trip on a rock? My body was floating down ever so slowly to the floor. What happened? Pain throbbed horrifically over my left breast. Something warm began to trickle down my chest. Suddenly, numbness spread throughout my arms and legs, and I found myself unable to stand. Someone was standing above me, but my vision grew hazy, and I couldn't make out a face or discern who it must have been. However, in the end, the shape of his lips made an opening, and I heard my name echo above. Or was it all a dream? Saito. Frick. No! No! I lost! Frick. No! 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 I'm not letting... No! No! I'm not letting that... No! No! I'm clicking. It's not Finn. It's not Finn. Where's my auto? Where's my auto? Where's my auto so I can get through this faster? I'm not letting that happen again. No! Frick, so what should we do? So... Maybe we should give him the medicine the first time, and then our blood a second time. Let's do that. Okay, good. It's doing what it's actually supposed to do. Skip it, instead of me repeatedly pushing the buttons. Oh my... I didn't think losing was a possibility. Well, now I know. Now I very much know. Ah, jeez, dang it. Okay, so I'm gonna try medicine first and then blood second. And see what that gives us. Or should we do blood for both? I don't know. Frick. Maybe... Because the first time... The first time he was in a fight with our dad, and he got blood all over him. So maybe we should give him... Maybe we should give him, yeah, the medicine the first time and then blood the second time. We'll do that. And see where it gets us. Lies. All of this is lies. Evil man! Evil, evil man! Yep. Jeez, And then Saito came in to save us. Yay! Yep. I wonder where in the world he's, like, hiding those scalpels as well. Like, where in his sleeves is he hiding those? Like, where? Dang. I feel like Edo Blossoms is gonna probably be, like, one of those thingies where you have to, like, make sure that your pet doesn't, you know, die or something like that, or cause you to die. Okay, let's give him medicine this time. Saito, drink this. It's medicine, and it should help curb the pain. I hastily pulled an herbal block from inside my kimono, handing it to Saito as Toto had suggested. Toto gave it to me. It should make you feel better. Please, wait here. I'll fetch you some water from the well. Oh dang, gross. Despite wincing with each movement, Saito unwrapped the parchment around the block and swallowed it. However, nothing seemed to come from it. Instead, Saito continued to grimace painfully with his back against the wall, barely able to catch his breath. No. Is it another fin? After what felt like an hour, his breathing finally seemed to settle, and I quietly muttered to him, Are you okay, Saito? Oh, not at all. Oh, looks like I can't skip this part. With that said, Saito carefully gathered himself, and we stepped back outside. I rushed to follow him. Now can we skip? Okay, now we can. Oh no, actually I think I might like Toshi with his ponytail more. Ah, no, everybody looks nice with and without their ponytails. Dang. Okay, so now we know that the medicine does barely anything. Come on, come on, come on. Come on. He's so nice looking in that. And his little blush is so cute. Well, at least now we get to see if that other option with Saito gives us a point. Dang. Hoot. Hoot. Okay. It's coming up, it's coming up. Let's see what this gives us. Maybe you're right. Maybe a time will come when warriors are no longer needed in our world. Even Toshi admitted that the sheer range and power of a rifle puts us at a huge disadvantage against the Satsuma and Choshu. They were too advanced. My response seemed to sting Saito, and he glared angrily towards the empty space beside us. Even if a time comes when samurai and katanas are no longer needed, that doesn't mean that you won't be needed too, Saito. His sour tone made me flinch a little, but I took a deep breath to articulate my position calmly. Like you said, swords are for killing. Blood has been spilled on your hands and certainly on your sword. But I disagree. Your sword also has the power to save lives. I, for one, am one of those who count themselves as lucky enough to have been saved by you. During the Battle of Toba Fushimi, and from my father back in Edo, if you hadn't been there, I would have been killed. At the end of the day, my word came from someone who lived a relatively sheltered life of privilege. I was under constant protection. All the same, I hoped my words would do something to motivate and inspire Saito to retain his pride. Which is why I'm so very thankful for you, Saito. I appreciate you. No matter what happens in the world, even if it decides that it no longer needs the samurai, I will always need you. You saved my life. Saito's lips curled inquisitively, making it difficult for me to read how he was feeling. Once more, he turned away from me, staring into the darkness in contemplation. Maybe what I said was out of line. Just as my anxiety began to flare. We got a different picture, which means we probably get a point. Saito stroked his soft, slender fingers against the side of my cheek. Good sir. Good sir, what are you doing? Hello? I could see the gorgeous dazzle of stars in his dark, mysterious eyes, which were stoically fixed on my own. Is something wrong, Saito? This gesture startled me initially, and I nervously asked him why, but he remained silent, offering no answer with his words as much as his body language. His eyes scanned through me thoroughly, as if he were searching for something conspicuous. Frick that word. When, finally, he spoke breathily. Huh? I know I should have gone with that option the first time. I know I should have, but I thought I could possibly give him hope. This moment is so nice. His voice was as quiet as always. However, I sensed a small sense of relief in him, and he was less tense than when I had found him. Seeing him relax made my heart feel warm. So, let's keep our faith in the Shinsengumi then. They're the ones who recognized your strength before anyone else did. A strength that even you yourself are unaware of. Even if, one day, you no longer need your sword, or you no longer needed your sword, then I am sure that none of them would even think of abandoning you. Those are good words to hear. Saito's eyes shot wide open in surprise. His mouth timidly formed into a slight curl, and he attempted an awkward but adorable smile. I wish that would reflect in the drawing, but I'm fine with it as is. It's so pretty. What? I wasn't sure what Saito was murmuring.
感謝する。今まで見えなかった何かがおぼろげにだが見えてきた。
This man, I love him! Gratitude sounded strange coming from him, but there was no question that it was genuine. His hands lingered on my face a moment longer, then he slowly drew them back. No.
この
No.
時世、幕命を受けたとて命を懸けて戦おうとする武士は多くない。
I wanted to stay like that forever. It was true. After all, the Supreme Commander himself had abandoned his troops at the first sign of trouble. Supreme Commander, a formal title reserved for the Tokugawa shogun, considered the highest military rank in the entire shogunate military. And moreover, even the Hideyoshi daimyo and the Tokugawa affiliate daimyo turned their backs on the shogunate. Hideyoshi daimyo, vessels who were loyal to the Tokugawa even before the Battle of Sekigahara.
だが鳥羽伏見の戦で新八は死ぬことを覚悟して切り込み隊に志願した。近藤さんは肩の傷が治ってすぐ戦線に復帰した。土方さんは敗北して大使の非難を受けることを覚悟で幕府のために戦おうとしている。近藤さんや土方さんはもともと武家の生まれではない。
Don't need to be.
だが彼らの魂は誰よりも武士だ。
Yup, got the right frame of mind, right frame of mind, Saito. Yes, give me the point.
武士というのは生き様を言うのだろうな。
Yes. His voice was unfettered by the monotone that usually characterized it so often in the past. I couldn't say for sure, but it seemed as though just as Saito had hoped to convince me of his strength and reliability, he had also hoped to convince himself. For as long as I'd known him, I'd seen Saito as serious and single-minded, the sort of man who is steadfast in his convictions and his self-determined purpose. But now, it seemed I was beginning to see the side of him that was, for lack of a better word, human.
そろそろ夜が明けるな。陣に戻るか。
You're right. And then this is where, give him the blood. Let's see what happens. Saito, please drink my blood.
必要ない。このままやり過ごせば収まる。
However, Saito's face warped in pain, and his forehead was covered in thick beads of sweat. That made it even more clear that he was craving blood. Please, I'll be fine. There was no point in arguing. I unsheathed my sword and slid the cold edge against my finger, feeling a burn as the flesh split open.
その子たちを貸せ。
No, if you don't, you'll... I was sure he simply meant to take the sword away from me.
傷ならば俺がつける。貸せ。
Oh, baby. That wasn't what I'd expected to hear. He took hold of my kodachi and stepped closer. I could hear his breath rattling in his chest. The blade pressed against my ear. He must have wanted to cut where it would barely be visible. I felt a spark of pain as it broke the skin, and then his face moved so close to mine. I could feel his breath on my ear. His lips pressed against my skin. I shivered as his breath touched my ears. I'm gonna die. Saito stopped and pulled away. Not one bit. His voice was barely above a whisper, but it sounded loud in my ear. I'm fine. It just tickled a little bit. He seemed relieved to hear that, and I felt his tongue touch my ear once again. Saito! He was sipping the blood that was dripping from my ear. As he drank, Saito's breathing eased, and his shaking began to subside. After some time, he slowly stepped back. There's no need to apologize, good sir. That was, I liked that a lot more than the picture we got last time. His face was still pale, but at least the color was beginning to return. Don't worry about it. This will heal up in no time. I don't know, I consider it drinking from the person you love. Like, brah. I love that cliche. He gave a short bark of laughter. No, it's not like that. I mean, if you think about it, it's my fault. You became a fury. Oh, if you think about it, it's my fault you became a fury in the first place. Yeah, his fight with Kazuma was a lot. He stood there silently for a moment, his back to me. I nodded back to Saito, and we returned to our camp. And this is where we speed up. Hopefully this time we don't get a fin. We got this. I believe in us. We will not get a fin this time. I believe. I believe in ourselves. Hopefully the blood didn't do the opposite of what I wanted it to do. So I'm kind of wondering what would happen if I made Saito endure it the first time. And what would happen if I gave him medicine? No, if the medicine didn't work the first time, then it probably wouldn't work the second time either. Maybe blood is the right option to give for this part. Oh, I'm not skipping this part. I'm gonna resave this part because this is the part where we last left off and it's kind of exciting. Okay. Saito maneuvered through the Furies with precision, coldly slashing at each Fury until they fell definitely. A lengthy chill shivered through my body. And then more came. Die, die, die! Without any wasted movement, Saito sliced into each of the Fury's vital points with a godly display of technique. More come. And more die! With each wave of his sword, however, came the splatter of Fury blood all over his porcelain face. You're fine, you got this, you got this! To avoid the stinging scent of blood, Saito tried covering his mouth and nose all at once with his arm. Then, he looked down, his face becoming more pale. At any moment, he looked set to collapse. Saito! As I watched these events unfold, I sheepishly called out to him. Saito shut his eyes tightly, wiping the blood off from his face with his sleeve repeatedly. Yes! Yes! Are you okay? He had transformed into his Fury form, and so much blood had been splattered on him. Even I could recognize that Saito was showing an incredible amount of discipline and self-restraint that I hadn't thought possible. He hoped to comfort me, but it was obvious that he was feigning toughness for my sake. With that, I helped him walk forward. Oh my goodness, that's even more. Oh jeez. Suddenly, I saw the group of Furies gather around us. The mastermind behind this whole plot was...
お前はそんなに聞き分けがない娘だったのか。
Since I found out you were a demon. No, that's a lie. I've always been stubborn. Father stared back at me with a dejected expression. With a dejected expression, as I knew my rebellion came as somewhat of a shock to him. Despite knowing he was no longer the father I knew, the man who had raised me, seeing the pain in his eyes made my heart heavy.
私はお前がまだ小さな頃からお前の幸せだけを望んでいたというのに。
Yeah, well, forcing me into something that I don't want to be a part of is not going to give me happiness. ...
さあ、こっちへ来なさい。そんな羅刹のことなど放っておいて。
Frick off! Father's hands, which had so fondly patted my head when I was a child, reached out towards me.
行くな。あなた。
I know it's a trap, Saito. Saito spoke between strained breaths. Father, answer me. What is this happiness that you've wished for me? I wasn't sure which father I was speaking to. The only way to know was to ask. Father, in turn, offered a maniacal smile.
風間様の妻となり、純潔の鬼の子をたくさん産んでもらうことに決まっているじゃないか。
No, thank you.
私はそのために、そのためだけにお前を育ててきたのだから。
You're a sick man. It was strange to think a voice that had given me so much comfort in the past was now the bearer of the news I'd wished to hear least in the world. I had already known this to be true, but hearing it aloud was like splitting open an old scar in the depths of my heart. To Father, my only worth came from the fact that I could bear Cosmo's demon children. No, thank you. Tears began to flow uncontrollably from my eyes. Sorry, Father. I may be a horrible child, but I just can't make your wish come true. Father's face instantly warped in response. In fact, it was almost unrecognizable. Then...
羅刹ども、そこの女を捕まえなさい。そして風間様へと献上するのです。
Frick that! Father barked his command towards the Fury with glaring eyes, and like corpses, they dragged their feet to turn around and face us. However, the white-haired beast screeched harshly in unison, and at once they began to charge toward us. Suddenly... You got this, Saito. Saito drew his blade with a sound, and he lunged forward to slay each of the Furies with ease.
泣くのは後にしろ。今は逃げることが先決だ。
Take me, Saito. Saito grabbed a hold of my hand. With his left hand, he held his sword, and as we fled desperately, he swung at the ravenous monsters. I could hear flesh being spilt, and... I could hear flesh being spilt, and the curdle of blood as it dripped to the floor, and its metallic stench thereafter. Saito found himself completely covered in blood, but even so, it didn't stop him. I tightly gripped his hand to pull him back. With whatever strength we had left to muster, Saito and I ran in the direction of Edo. That's a lot of cutting. That is a lot of cutting. It's gonna take us forever.
ここまで来れば大丈夫か。
Hopefully. Saito looked over his shoulder, making sure there were no Furies in sight. After a moment, he nodded, and we came to a stop after his confirmation. Okay. I found myself out of breath, and it was difficult to speak after running at full strength for so long.
すまない。手を握ったままだったな。
Oh, that's okay, man. You can continue holding on to my arms. Then, Saito gently let go of my hand. His breaths were staggered, and he whipped his sweat-covered forehead repeatedly. Saito, are you okay?
急ぐぞ。あの羅刹たちの体力は底なしだ。江戸に戻るまで油断はできん。
But by now, the blood had almost completely left Saito's face, and he could have collapsed at any moment. In addition to the beating heat of the sun, he was drenched in blood from his standoff with the Furies. Standing, let alone sprinting all the way to Edo, must have been excruciating. I said, "Ooh." Grab onto me. Saito, I'll lend you my shoulders. Grab onto me. I could see the perplexion in Saito's eyes as I made my suggestion. Hold on to me. Normally, I would have listened to Saito and been done with it, but you don't look all right. You're pale. Actually, it looks like you're ready to faint. Stop thinking about my sake for 1 second. Lean on me. Please. Saito, it seemed, was unkeen to oblige my request. Although he was panting in front of me, his hands on his knees, he was still attempting to act tough. Give me one moment. Okay, I'm back. Apologies. Oh no, I'm not in the game. There we go. Well, like I told you, you don't look fine. Please, just listen to me this one time. Yes, I picked the right option. Because I love you. We made snow bunnies together. We looked at trees together. I love you, period. Because that day, during the Battle of Toba Fushimi, if Saito hadn't been with me, then he wouldn't have had to fight Kazama. Even in Edo, it was my behavior that caused Saito? Why did I say Saito to endure a highly dangerous situation. And today, because of the furies that were made by my father, many of our own men were needlessly slaughtered. Time and time again, Saito has risked his body to protect me from harm. It frustrated me to know that there was nothing I could say or do to assist him in this dire time. If I could have anticipated that this was going to happen, then I should have left everyone, no, Saito, a lot sooner. Sorrow had burrowed itself deep into my heart, and from the sorrow came tears of shame.
何故泣いている。もしや先ほど、行動さんに言われた言葉を思い出したか。先ほどの行動さんの様子は、どう見ても尋常ではなかった。あんたを娘とも思わぬ物言いをしたのは、落ち水によって理性をなくしたせいだろう。正気で亡くなったからとて、あんたを育ててくれた日々が消えてなくなるわけではあるまい。
It's not that. I'm not crying because of my father.
では何故だ。
I knew that I had to answer him. But try as I might, the tears were unstoppable, and my mouth quivered as I tried to speak.
急がぬと夜までに江戸にたどり着けぬぞ。さっさと泣きやめ。
I'm sorry.
それは何に対する謝罪だ。あんたに詫びられる覚えなどないが。
I tried wiping my tears repeatedly with the sleeves of my kimono, but it was a futile effort. It's because it's all my fault that you've become a fury. I mean, even today, look at what my father did to all those warriors. I'm just so sorry, Saito. I had a feeling that saying this would only cause Saito more strife and conflict, but even so, I knew it was important to express myself. I bowed over and over again in shame. Then... Oh, this is such a cute little scene. With albeit awkward movement, Saito drew me in closer to him, and my face was pressed against his warm, comfortable shoulder. I was about to say shoulder because I see shoulder. Comfortable chest. This is so cute. His voice tickled my ears softly. There was no harshness or coldness in it. Rather, it was soothing, as if Saito sought to comfort a crying child. Oh, look at that.
行動さんや新型の羅刹の襲撃を受けたのは自分のせいだと言っていたが、あんたを体内に留め置くことに決めたのは我々だ。
Look at that art. It's so pretty. He's so pretty. The hair is ah.
戦の最中、鬼との戦闘になることは副長も想定していたはず。あんたのせいではない。
As I listened intently to Saito's kind words, a different kind of tears altogether began to flow uncontrollably. How could Saito be so gentle, so kind, yet despite having all of these injustices occur to him? He had experienced far more harrowing experiences than I ever had. Hadn't life beaten him down enough for him to begin looking for something else to blame? Like me? I felt the same thing when he returned to the Shinsengumi from the Guardians of the Imperial Tomb. Guardians of the Imperial Tomb, an organization that guarded the Emperor's tomb. It was formed by Kashitaro Ito after his departure from the Shinsengumi. Misinformed soldiers who knew nothing of his character talked behind his back, but he preserved unfazed. Saito possessed such strength, and yet he was so thoughtful and compassionate. You're already doing a wonderful job of holding her in your arms. Sometimes touch is all you need. Sorry. I apologized once more, still keeping my face buried deep in his chest as the tears stuck to his clothing. I couldn't help myself. Saito continued to sympathize with me, although it was his typical flat, stoic manner. Even so, he remained beside me, embracing me tightly and giving me support in my time of need. Oh, so cute, so pretty. Oh. After returning to Edo, the other captains updated us with the outcome of the battle. As we had expected, there was no way for the new recruits to battle the Furies, as they lacked any real combat experience, let alone Fury experience. The Kyoyo I do not like this. Kyoyo Company was dealt a bad hand, forcing Kondo to retreat. The Satsuma Choshu had strengthened their Furies from what had already been a nearly unstoppable force for the Shinsengumi. Fury Corps 2, an army comprised of Kodo Yukimura's specialized brand of Furies. For the captains of the Shinsengumi, these improved foes proved to be a great obstacle, making our fates even more tenuous in this fearful, desperate time. Sniffle, sniffle, sniffle. Ugh, is this the end of chapter 2? It is the end of chapter 2. March 1868, chapter 3. And that is where we are going to end it off today. After I save. After it will let me save first. And save, please and thank you. Whew. Now let's check out that encyclopedia. So we got assistant instructor, which is what we did already. All we got. That one we learned about. This guy. We already learned about him. We already read chief. We read commander. I don't think we read this one. Daimyo, a powerful samurai who ruled a fiefdom and commanded vessels of his own. They served the shogun directly. And then we got... we read that one. We read that one. We read that one. Oh, jeez. That one we read. We read that one and that one. Oh wait, no, we didn't read this one. A secret division led by Keisuke Sanan, comprised of men who have turned into furies. They perform covert and nightly operations. Dun dun dun. Okay. We read him. We read that one. Hajime Saito. I wonder why it's number 2. Hatamoto. Hatamoto, high-ranking vessels of the Tokugawa clan who served the shogun direct. Oh yeah, we read that one already. Headquarters 1. The headquarters of the Shinsengumi were where members lived and took their meals. Headquarters. The Shinsengumi headquarters in Edo was located beyond the Kajibashi Gate in the mansion of former executive lieutenant minister Takane Tatsuaki Suki. And there's Todo, captain of the Shinsengumi's 8th Division. He survived the Aburan Kyoji incident by becoming a Fury and rejoined the Shinsengumi. The official record showed him as deceased. He also joined Saito into joining the... Where is it? Where is it? Oh wait, no. It was at the top. He joined Saito into joining this, which is... departure from the Shinsengumi when Saito was a spy, but Todo joined because his friend Ito, who is the person that formed it, was his friend. And then promptly Ito got assassinated and Todo was there and he almost did not make it. Hideyoshi Daimyo, vessels who were loyal to the Tokugawa even before the Battle of Sekigahara. I think we read that one. Hino... We read that one. Next one. Imperial Army. Isami. Isn't that great? I don't think we read this one. An officer in the Shinsengumi. Oh wait, no. We did. Did we? No, we didn't. As well as spy with the Watch. He's been with the Shinsengumi from the beginning and has been involved with all incidents in Kyoto, such as the Battle of Ikaida. Did we? I don't remember if we did. Pretty sure we did. And then we have Soma. Yeah, his is what we read. And then here's Sanan. Freaking mad scientist. The Shinsengumi's colonel. After injuring his left arm during the Ikaida-in incident, he drinks the water of life and becomes a Fury, and later goes on to lead the Fury Corps. He wasn't a part of the Ikaida-in incident. He was with Toshi, and they were off in like Edo or some other place, and that's when he hurt his arm. He wasn't with the Ikaida-in incident. Kirikami, a preliminary letter of military exception. Its name comes from the tiny sliver of parchment onto which it is printed. And then we got like all the thingies for him. And then we got Kofu and Kofu Castle. Ieyasu Tokugawa established this castle as the last line of defense to protect Edo's borders. And then we got, I don't know how to pronounce that, so. And then this is Kyoshiranui, a demon who wields impressive skill with a pistol. He's an agent close to the Choshu domain. He considers Shinsaku Takasugi a dear friend of his. It's Shinsaku. Who dat? And then this is Amaguri, a demon affiliated with Satsu domain. He is a master of hand-to-hand... Oh, wait, we read that one already. My bad. A medicine, a bitter compound developed by Ryojun. I think we read that one too. Mibu. a settlement west of Kyoto. It was comprised of homes, farmhouses, and a single temple. Okami, we read that one. Osaka, we read. Princess Sun, we read. We did not read this one. Risaburo Buro Nomura, a page to the chief of the Shinsengumi. He is close friends with Kasue Soma. He is wow, I was about to read the second line again. As the two are close in age and peers in their positions. And then here's the doctor. Yojun Matsumoto, a respected doctor who works as a close affiliate of the Tokugawa shogunates. He is cooperative with the Shinsengumi and is a colleague of Koto Yukimura's. And then we got Harada, captain of the Shinsengumi's 10th division and a native of Edo. We read that one. Satsuma Domain, I think we read that one too, I believe. That one we read. This one I don't think we read. Shinpachi, no, wait, no, we did. Shinsengumi we read. Shogunate, Supreme Commander we read. Tokugawa affiliate, daimyo. Those who become feudal lords for being related to the I can't read! For being related to the Tokugawa clan. Toshizo Hichikata, the commander of the Shinsengumi, a longtime friend of Isame Kondo's, who helped establish the Shinsengumi in Kyoto. He is affectionately referred to as Toshi by Kondo, and I call him Toshi because Hichikata, I feel like I'm always saying wrong because I'm like, is it Hijikata or Haijikata? And I keep hearing Hijikata, but that feels wrong to me for some weird reason. And then we got the water of life, a substance imported from the west that turns those who drink it into furies. Until refined by Koto Yukimura, it was too toxic to use. And then what do we got? We got that guy, Yoshinobu Tokugawa, the 15th commander-in-chief of the Tokugawa shogunate after restoring... Wait, no, we read this one. We read that one. And that is all. That is all for the encyclopedia. Let's see where we're at the... Corruption is mild. Ugh. Or mid. Ooh, I don't know how to feel about that. But at least we're 50% blooming, I guess. I feel like I'm gonna be treading a thin line trying to make sure this boy doesn't kill me. Please don't kill me. Please. Let's save again, just to be safe. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So that was Hakuoki, Edo Blossoms. Oh, wait. We need to look at the gallery. We need to... Is it the gallery? Yes, it's the gallery. What do we got? Yes. Oh, wait, no. How do I... Oh, that's how I do it. Okay. No. Hide UI. Where's the... That one's hide UI. Poor baby. So we only have that one. Oh, there's... I wonder why it says 1 of 2. And then 1 of 2. I don't know what that means. Maybe, like... Maybe if we give him blood 2 times, it gives us both options for that scene. Or, like, if we let him endure it 2 times. I don't know. That's something I'll have to find out, because I'm... That's very curious. Very, very curious. And then we got... Toto! What happened to you, Toto? What happened to you, Toto? Let's see. Oh, Okita, baby. Okay. We have things for Yukimura. Oh, it's just normal stuff. That's not as fun. I will never, ever go for Kazuma, honestly. Like, I really don't like his personality. He looks amazing. He looks nice, but at the same time, like... I don't like him. And then we got Somo right there. And then we have Iba. Cute little Iba over here. I wonder how he plays into the story for this part. Okay. I think that is all for today for this stream for Hakuoki Edo Blossoms. So we failed the first time with Saito. We let him kill us after the second corruption because we couldn't sedate it. So I guess this is going to be I feel like there's going to be a lot of fins. I feel like there's going to be a lot of those because I don't know. I feel like I'm going to have a hard time trying to counteract his corruption because it's already at mid and I don't know how many more there's going to be. Because the medicine did absolutely nothing the first time, and then blood helped the second time. But I know I can't give him blood every single time, because I feel like that would just corrupt him, like, horrendously. So, we're gonna find out what's gonna happen next week. Same time, same day. We're gonna continue on with Hakuoki Edo Blossoms. Tomorrow, Sunday at 3 p.m. we are going to be playing Ghostwire Tokyo. We are going to be working on main quests. And then on Monday at 3 p.m. we are going to be working on the side quests because there are a lot of side quests. A lot of them. And I want to get through them. And it's already annoying enough to go through 7 hours of a recording from when I did my off-stream grinding to level up and go through the other side quests. So I'm just gonna make the side quests a separate stream. So tomorrow at 3 p.m. EST, 3 p.m. EST, or where's the time? 4 a.m. JST on Monday, or 12 p.m. PST is when we are going to be doing Ghostwire Tokyo, and then the next day are the same times. So 3 p.m. EST on Monday, 12 p.m. PST on Monday. No! Or 4 a.m. JST on Tuesday is when we'll be doing those. So, huzzah. So I hope you all enjoyed this and my failure at the one part. And hopefully we can continue to keep Saito sane, or at least close to. Ugh, I hope. I have big hopes. And if not, I'll just continue to play it. So, I will let you all go. I love you all. I hope you have a wonderful night, and I hope to see you tomorrow and next week for another Hakuoki Edo Blossoms. Thank you for coming. Love y'all.